The iron gates closed behind Ayana Brooks with a sound like a prison lock, smooth, expensive, and utterly final. She told herself it was just her nerves. Just the weight of needing this job so badly her hands had shaken when she signed the NDA. Just the 3-mile private driveway cutting through manicured wilderness, isolating this glass and stone fortress from the rest of the world. Just paranoia. But Ayana Brooks had made a career out of trusting her instincts, and every instinct she had was screaming that something about this contract was wrong. Hey, beautiful people. Welcome back to the channel. Or if you're new here, welcome to where we dive deep into stories that'll have you hooked from the very first line. I'm so glad you're here. Drop a comment right now and tell me where you're watching from. Are you team late night reading or team lunch break escape? And if you haven't subscribed yet, do me a favor and hit that button because trust me, you're going to want to see how this one ends. Now, let's get into it. The mansion materialized through the morning fog like something out of a fever dream, all sharp angles and floor-to-ceiling windows that reflected the sky so perfectly Ayana couldn't tell where the building ended and the heavens began. Mendes Aerodyne's logo wasn't displayed anywhere, but she recognized the architectural signature, the same cutting-edge design philosophy that had made their aerospace facilities famous. Form and function married, so seamlessly you forgot you were looking at something man-made. She'd studied the company obsessively last night. Not just for the job, though God knew she needed to impress, but because the name had sent her spiraling into memories she'd spent 15 years trying to bury. Mendes. It couldn't be the same person. The awkward, gentle boy with the gap-toothed smile who'd lived in the cramped rental across the street wouldn't own a place like this. Wouldn't have built a billion-dollar empire by age 33. Wouldn't have forgotten her completely. The file had listed the client only as K. Mendes, CEO. No photo. No first name. Just a digital signature on a contract offering her 6 figures for 2 weeks of work. 2 weeks to identify and neutralize whoever was trying to hack into his private servers. 2 weeks isolated in this beautiful cage. She parked her decade-old Honda between a Bugatti and what looked like a custom Tesla, feeling like an imposter already. The front door, 12 feet of brushed titanium, opened before she reached it. And there he stood. Ayana's breath stopped. 15 years had sharpened everything soft about Kairo Mendes. The gentle boy who used to help her with calculus homework had been replaced by a man who looked like he'd been carved from marble and dark ambition. 6'3" of lean muscle wrapped in a charcoal suit that cost more than her car. His face had lost its boyish roundness, revealing the blade-sharp cheekbones and strong jaw of his Cape Verdean heritage. His black hair was cut close, professional, perfect. But his eyes, those eyes were the same warm brown she'd once dreamed about, even if they were currently looking at her like she was a stranger. Ms. Brooks. His voice had deepened into something that resonated in her chest. Professional. Distant. You're early. Not Ayana. Oh my God, is that you? Not I can't believe it's been so long. Just cool assessment, like she was another piece of equipment he'd ordered online. I believe in being punctual, Mr. Mendes. She kept her voice steady, even as her heart was doing gymnastics. Especially when the contract specifies I have 14 days to solve a problem your entire IT department couldn't crack. Something flickered in his expression. Respect, maybe, or recognition of a challenge. Your reputation suggests you can. Your work on the Ashford financial breach was impressive. He'd researched her. The thought sent an unwelcome thrill down her spine. That was before they decided to reorganize their entire cybersecurity division. The bitterness slipped out before she could stop it. She didn't mention that reorganize meant pushing out the black woman who'd saved their asses and promoting her less qualified supervisor. Didn't mention the 3 months of rejected applications and dwindling savings. Didn't mention the desperation that had made her jump at this too-good-to-be-true offer. Kairo's eyes narrowed slightly, and for just a second, she saw something beneath the ice. A flash of the boy who used to bring her homemade pastillas de nata when her mom worked double shifts, who understood what it meant to be overlooked and underestimated. Then it was gone. Your personal employment history isn't my concern. Your skills are. He stepped aside, gesturing her into a foyer that could have housed her entire apartment.
Twice.
I need discretion, speed, and results. The contract outlined my terms. Remain on the premises for the duration. No outside communication about the nature of the work. Complete access to your systems. She'd memorized every clause, looking for the catch. It also mentioned security threats, but didn't specify what kind. Because I don't know what kind. He closed the door, and the sound echoed like a gunshot in the cavernous space. That's what you're here to discover. He moved deeper into the house, expecting her to follow. Ayana stood frozen for a moment, taking it all in. The floating staircase that spiraled up 3 floors, the art that was definitely original and definitely worth more than she'd make in a lifetime, the windows that should have flooded the space with light but somehow made her feel more trapped. The breaches started 6 weeks ago, Kairo said, leading her through a corridor lined with what looked like actual Basquiat paintings. Small at first. Someone accessing files they shouldn't have been able to reach. Personnel records. Property deeds. Then they got bolder. Prototype schematics, R&D reports, financial projections. You've changed all the passwords? Updated your security protocols? Basic questions, but she needed to establish where his team had failed. 17 times.
His jaw tightened.
Brought in 3 different firms. The breaches continued. Whoever this is, they're not using brute force. They're already inside somehow. They know the system like they built it. A chill ran through her. Inside jobs are the hardest to trace. I know. He stopped at a door, his hand on the keypad. Which is why I'm bringing in someone from outside my circle. Someone with no connection to Mendes Aerodyne, or anyone who works here. Someone with no connection to you, she thought, the words tasting like betrayal even though she had no right to feel betrayed. He really didn't remember her. The door opened to reveal a security command center that made her forget her hurt feelings. Wall-to-wall monitors displayed every angle of the property, live feeds from dozens of cameras. Top-of-the-line servers hummed quietly in climate-controlled cases. Her fingers itched to get started. You'll work here, Kairo said. Everything you need is set up. Full access to the network. All files. All security footage. If you need anything else. Wait. Ayana pointed to one of the monitors, her trained eye catching something wrong. That camera. Northeast corner, 3rd floor. It's repositioned. He leaned in, close enough that she could smell his cologne. Something expensive and woodsy that definitely hadn't come from the drugstore across from their old neighborhood. I don't see. There. She touched the screen. The angle shifted maybe 15 degrees to the right. When was the last time someone accessed this room? I'm the only one with the code. His voice had gone quiet, dangerous. The previous security team was fired 2 weeks ago. The new installation team finished yesterday, but they were supervised the entire time. Ayana pulled up the timestamp logs, her heart rate kicking up. This camera was accessed remotely 47 minutes ago. Someone moved it. That's impossible. I changed the admin credentials myself this morning before you arrived. And someone changed them back. She was already typing, following the digital breadcrumbs. Or, they never needed your credentials in the first place. Kairo, whoever's watching you isn't hacking from outside. She froze. She'd used his first name. The familiarity hung in the air between them like a confession. His hand came down on the desk beside hers, not touching her, but close enough to make her pulse jump. When she looked up, his eyes were searching her face with an intensity that made her forget how to breathe. Have we met before? His voice was low, confused, like he was trying to solve an equation that didn't balance. You seem familiar. Before she could answer, before she could decide whether to remind him of the girl who used to sit on her porch and watch him practice guitar, the girl he'd kissed exactly once under the streetlight before his family disappeared overnight, every monitor in the room went black. Then, one by one, they flickered back to life. But instead of security feeds, every screen displayed the same thing. A childhood photo, slightly faded, like it had been scanned from an old print. 2 kids sitting on a porch step, sharing a box of pizza. A younger Kairo, all gangly limbs and bright smile. And Ayana at 14, looking at him like he'd hung the moon. Below the image, text appeared in blood-red letters. "Welcome home, Ayana. Did you really think coming back would keep him safe?" The words pulsed once, twice. Then every screen went dark again. In the sudden silence, Ayana heard Kairo's sharp intake of breath, felt the way his entire body had gone rigid beside her. When he finally spoke, his voice was barely a whisper. "Ayana Brooks. From Oakwood Street." Not a question. A recognition. "My God. It really is you." But she wasn't looking at him anymore. She was staring at the dead monitors, at their own reflections ghosted in the black screens. Because whoever was watching them hadn't just hacked the system. They'd been waiting for her specifically. And they knew exactly what Kairo Mendes meant to her. The silence stretched between them like a chasm 15 years wide. Ayana forced herself to look at him, to meet those eyes that had finally recognized her. She'd imagined this moment 1,000 times, running into Kairo Mendes again, having him see her as the woman she'd become instead of the awkward girl she'd been. In none of those fantasies had it happened while a faceless hacker weaponized their past against them. "You remember." Her voice came out steadier than she felt. "I remember." Something raw flickered across his face before the CEO mask slammed back into place. But his hand was still braced on the desk beside hers, close enough that she could see the tension in his fingers. "Though apparently not as quickly as I should have. Ayana Brooks. You used to. Tutored you in calculus. Beat you at chess 4 times out of 5. Listened to your terrible guitar playing and lied that it was good." The words tumbled out sharp, defensive. Armor against the hurt of being forgotten, even if he remembered now. "You never lied." The corner of his mouth lifted, barely, but enough to remind her of the boy who used to smile so freely. "You told me I played like a dying cat, and that honesty was a gift. You said if I wanted pretty lies, I could talk to anyone else. But if I wanted truth, I'd always give you truth." She'd forgotten that conversation. Forgotten a lot of things deliberately because remembering hurt too much. "That was a long time ago, Kairo. 15 years. He said it like a sentence. "You disappeared. One day you were across the street, and then you disappeared." The accusation came out harder than she intended. "Your whole family. Middle of the night, no warning, no goodbye. I came home from school, and the rental was empty. Like you'd never existed." His expression shuddered. It wasn't supposed to happen that way. How was it supposed to happen? Before he could answer, the monitors blazed back to life. Normal security feeds this time, but Ayana didn't trust it. She spun to the keyboard, fingers flying. "We need to lock down the system. Whoever did this wants us distracted." "Ayana. Later." She was already deep in the code, tracking the intrusion path. "Right now someone's in your network demonstrating they can access your most private security at will, and they're making it personal. That's a power play. They want you scared." "Are you?" His voice was closer. He'd moved to stand behind her, reading the screen over her shoulder. "Scared?" The truth was yes. Terrified. Not just of the hacker, but of being this close to Kairo again, of how easily she'd slipped back into orbit around him, of how much it had wrecked her when he vanished, and how much worse it could be now that he had the power to truly destroy her. But Ayana Brooks had learned not to show fear in rooms full of men who expected her to crack. "I'm concerned about the security implications," she said evenly, isolating the breach point.
"There.
Someone installed a backdoor in your firewall. Custom code. Sophisticated. This isn't amateur hour." Kairo leaned in, his hand coming to rest on the back of her chair. She could feel the heat of him, the solid presence that made her hyper-aware of every breath. "Can you trace it?" "Maybe. They're good at covering tracks, but everyone makes mistakes." She started building a trace protocol, her mind settling into the familiar rhythm of the hunt. This she understood. Code didn't have feelings to hurt. Systems didn't forget you existed. "I didn't forget you." She froze, fingers suspended over the keys. "What? You think I forgot?" His voice was quiet, meant only for her despite the empty room. "I didn't. I've thought about you every day for 15 years. Wondered where you were. If you were okay. If you hated me for leaving. Don't do this, she thought. Don't make it mean something. Kairo, whoever's watching us clearly knows about our history. We can't afford to be distracted by. By what? The fact that the first person I kissed is standing in my house trying to save my company? The fact that I hired the best cybersecurity specialist I could find, never knowing it was you. She spun the chair around to face him, breaking his proximity even though it took all her willpower. You hired me because I'm good at my job. That's all this is.
A job.
Is it? He searched her face, and she saw the exact moment he read the lie in her eyes. You took this contract sight unseen. No meet and greet, no video interview, just a signature and a promise to disappear into my house for 2 weeks. That's not your standard practice. I read about the Ashford case. You demanded 3 separate security briefings before you'd even consider their offer. Damn him for being thorough. I needed the money, she said flatly. They pushed me out. Reorganization, they called it. Really just a white man protecting his mediocre ego by eliminating the woman who made him look bad. The bitterness was acid on her tongue. 3 months of applications, and everyone loves my resume until they see my face in the interview. So yes, when someone offered me 6 figures to work remotely for 2 weeks, I took it. That's called survival, not sentiment. Something fierce blazed in his eyes. Give me names.
What?
The people who pushed you out. Give me their names. So, you can what? Buy their company? Ruin their careers. She laughed, but it came out broken. I don't need rescuing, Kairo. I needed a job. You gave me one. Let's focus on that. He looked like he wanted to argue, but a sound from the doorway interrupted them. Well, this is cozy. Ayana turned to find a woman in the entrance, late 20s, model tall, with copper skin and highlighted braids pulled into an elegant ponytail. She wore designer athleisure like it was a power suit and held 2 coffee cups like she belonged here. Which, given her comfortable posture, she probably did. Simone. Kairo's voice cooled noticeably. I told you I was meeting with the new security consultant today. You did. Simone's dark eyes assessed Ayana with the precision of a jeweler evaluating a stone. You didn't mention she'd be pretty. Or that you'd be having intense conversations in the dark. The monitors went down, Ayana said, standing. She refused to be intimidated in wrinkled jeans by someone who looked ready for a photo shoot.
I'm Ayana Brooks.
You are? Simone Ripley, Chief Operations Officer, Mendes Aerodyne. Also Kairo's business partner, Kairo Cuttin. Simone handles the corporate side while I focus on R&D. Business partner, Simone repeated, her smile sharp. Among other things. I've been with Kairo for 5 years. I keep everything running smoothly. The emphasis on 5 years and everything wasn't subtle. Ayana felt something ugly twist in her chest, jealousy, which was ridiculous. She had no claim on Kairo, no right to care if this gorgeous, accomplished woman shared his life. If you haven't hit that subscribe button yet, now's the time, because the tension's about to get a whole lot thicker. Drop a comment and tell me, are you Team Simone or Team Ayana? Let's see where your loyalties lie. Then you can help me, Ayana said, forcing professionalism. I need a list of everyone who's had access to this room in the last 6 months. Installation crews, IT staff, cleaning service, everyone. Simone's perfectly shaped eyebrows rose. That's a long list. Is there a problem? There's been another breach, Kairo said. Someone accessed the security system remotely. I thought you changed all the credentials this morning. I did. Then how? Simone's eyes cut to Ayana. You've been here less than an hour. The implication hung in the air like smoke. Ayana felt her jaw tighten. You think I hacked the system I was hired to protect? I think it's convenient that the system was breached the moment you arrived. Maybe you staged it to make yourself look valuable.
Simone.
Kairo's voice cut like a blade. That's enough. Is it? We know nothing about her except she suddenly appeared offering solutions to a problem she could have created. I've known Ayana since we were kids. The words seemed to surprise him as much as they did Simone. I trust her. Simone's expression flickered, hurt, quickly masked. You never mentioned knowing her. I didn't know I'd hired her. The recruitment agency kept her identity confidential per the contract terms. Kairo moved beside Ayana in a gesture that felt protective, possessive. But I'm telling you now, she's not the threat.
Fine.
Simone set down the coffee cups with precise control. I'll get you that list. But Kairo, a word? Privately? Ayana didn't wait to be dismissed. I should check the physical security infrastructure anyway. Where's the main server room? Basement, East Wing. Kairo pulled a keycard from his pocket, holding it out. This will get you anywhere in the house. The servers are behind the biometric door. I'll set your clearance. Their fingers brushed as she took the card. The contact was electric, brief, and entirely too charged for what should have been a simple exchange. Thank you. She grabbed one of the coffee cups, might as well, since Simone clearly wasn't offering, and headed for the door. Behind her, she heard Simone's carefully modulated voice. What the hell are you thinking? Bringing someone from your past into this mess? Ayana didn't stay to hear Kairo's answer. She navigated the house using instinct and the building schematics she'd memorized from the contract documents. The mansion was a maze of luxury and technology, smart glass that adjusted for sunlight, climate control that responded to body heat, art worth millions hung in hallways like afterthoughts. This was Kairo's world now. Untouchable, unreachable. She found the basement stairs behind a door that looked like part of the wall paneling. The coffee was excellent, dark roast, vanilla notes, exactly how she used to take it. She told herself it was coincidence. The server room was a cathedral of technology. Rows of blade servers hummed with cool efficiency, their indicator lights blinking like earthbound stars. This was where Kairo's empire lived. Every transaction, every design, every secret. Ayana set down her coffee and got to work, checking physical connections, looking for unauthorized hardware, keystroke loggers, rogue access points, anything that could explain. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. She almost ignored it. The NDA prohibited outside communication about the job. But something made her look. A text message. No words, just an image. Her blood turned to ice. It was a photo of her, taken from behind. In this room, 30 seconds ago. Someone was watching her right now. Before she could move, the lights went out, plunging the server room into darkness broken only by the blinking equipment lights. The door slammed shut with a hydraulic hiss. And in that darkness, she heard it, the soft scrape of footsteps on concrete. She wasn't alone. Ayana's training kicked in before her fear could paralyze her. She dropped low, moving silently between the server racks, using the blinking lights as cover. Her phone was still in her hand. She killed the screen brightness, plunging it into darkness. The footsteps stopped. Whoever was in here with her was listening, tracking her movement. Her mind raced through possibilities. The door had sealed, electromagnetic lock. She'd noticed it on the way in. Someone had triggered it remotely, which meant they had access to the building's security systems. The same someone who'd moved the camera, who'd posted that photo from her childhood, who'd been waiting for her to come down here alone. The server room had no windows, one exit, and she'd walked right into the trap. Stupid, she thought viciously. Distracted by Kairo and your hurt feelings, and now you're... A hand clamped over her mouth from behind. Ayana reacted on pure instinct. Elbow back into ribs, foot stomping down, twisting away from the grip. She heard a male grunt of pain, then hands caught her arms, not attacking but restraining. Ayana, stop. It's me. Kairo's voice. Kairo's hands. She froze, heart hammering. What the hell are you doing sneaking up on me in the dark? Trying not to get assaulted, apparently. His breathing was harsh against her ear. He hadn't let go. Are you okay? The door locked remotely. I overrode it from my phone. You couldn't have announced yourself? But relief was flooding through her, making her knees weak. She was hyper-aware of his chest against her back, his arms still bracketing hers. I called your name. You didn't hear me. His grip loosened, but he didn't step away. When I saw the door seal with you inside, I thought. The lights blazed back on with retina-searing brightness. Ayana blinked against the sudden glare, turning in Kairo's arms. They were inches apart, close enough that she could see gold flecks in his brown eyes, the muscle ticking in his jaw. "You thought what?" Her voice came out breathless. "That I'd gotten you hurt." His eyes searched her face. "Again. Again? Kairo, you didn't." Her phone buzzed. Another message. They both looked down at the screen. She was still clutching. "Sweet reunion. But you should ask him why he really hired you, Ayana. Ask him what he needed to keep close. Son of a bitch." Kairo snatched the phone, his face going cold with rage. "They're watching through your device." "No, I've got military-grade encryption." But even as she said it, she was pulling up her security protocols. Her stomach dropped. "Someone cloned my SIM. They're mirroring everything. Calls, texts, location data. When? Had to be before I arrived. Which means they knew I was coming." She looked up at him, pieces clicking into horrible place. "Kairo, how did you find me?" "The recruitment agency, who recommended me." His expression shifted, and she saw the exact moment he realized. "I didn't use an agency. I asked my head of security to find the best. He came back with your file." "Who's your head of security?" "Roman Vega. Former NSA, impeccable credentials. He's been with me for 3 years." But doubt had crept into Kairo's voice. "He set up all the security protocols for the house. The protocols that keep getting breached." Ayana was already moving to the nearest terminal, pulling up access logs. "Kairo, if he's compromised, he's not here. I sent him to the Seattle facility yesterday to oversee the launch prep." Kairo pulled out his phone, dialing. He wouldn't have left if he was planning something. Unless he already set everything in motion. Her fingers flew across the keyboard. Or unless someone wanted him gone. When did the breaches start getting serious? 6 weeks ago. He held the phone to his ear, waiting. But Roman's the one who identified them. He's the one who said we needed outside help. Outside help he personally selected. The access logs were painting a damning picture. Kairo, Roman's credentials were used to access this server room 17 times in the last month. Always between 2 and 4 a.m. He does routine security sweeps. Kairo stopped. He's not answering. A new message appeared on Ayana's phone. "You're looking in the wrong direction. But don't worry. Everything will become clear soon." Clock's ticking, Ayana. 46 hours until the demonstration. "What demonstration?" Ayana looked at Kairo. "What happens in 46 hours?" His face had gone ashen. "The Artemis Project. We're demonstrating our new propulsion system to the Department of Defense and 3 international space agencies. It's the biggest contract in the company's history. $40 billion over 10 years. And if something goes wrong during the demonstration, Mendes Aerodyne becomes a cautionary tale instead of an industry leader." He was already texting, his jaw set. "I'm calling in the team, scrubbing the launch."
No.
Ayana grabbed his wrist. "That's what they want. You cancel, you look unstable. Paranoid. Questions get asked. Confidence gets shaken. Even if you reschedule, the damage is done. I'm not risking lives for a contract. I'm not suggesting you do. I'm saying we have 46 hours to find whoever's doing this and stop them." She turned back to the screen. "They made a mistake sending that message. They're cocky. Cocky people slip up. Or it's bait. Another way to keep us distracted while they execute whatever they're really planning." Kairo moved beside her, reading the logs over her shoulder like they used to read textbooks together. "Some partnerships, apparently you never forgot. What do you need?" "Full access. Every file, every employee record, every financial transaction from the last year." She pulled up a search protocol. "And I need you to tell me the truth about something." He went still. "Ask. Why did you really hire me?" She made herself look at him. "You're a billionaire with unlimited resources. You could have hired any security firm in the world, brought in the FBI, NSA, Interpol. Instead, you bring in one freelance contractor and demand she stay isolated in your house for 2 weeks. So either you're terrible at threat assessment, or there's something else going on." The silence stretched. Through the server's hum, she could hear her own heartbeat. "I needed someone I could trust," Kairo finally said. Someone who didn't have connections to the industry, the military, the government. Someone who couldn't be bought or threatened because they didn't know enough to be compromised. You didn't know it was me.
No.
But when Roman gave me your file, showed me your work. He paused. There was a note in your background check. Said you grew up in Oakwood, moved away at 16. I didn't let myself hope it was the same Ayana Brooks I knew. Told myself it was just a coincidence. But you hired me anyway. I hired the best. His eyes met hers. If she happened to be someone from my past, someone I trusted once, maybe that was fate giving me a break. Fate or manipulation? Ayana gestured at the phone. Someone knew we had history. They're using it against us. Then we use it right back. He reached past her, his arm brushing hers as he typed in a command string. A hidden directory appeared. These are my private files. No one knows they exist. I coded the partition myself. If there's something in the company that points to who's behind this, it'll be here. Ayana stared at the screen. Thousands of files. Emails, reports, financial records, personal notes. The kind of access that could destroy a company if it fell into the wrong hands. Kairo, if I look through these, I'll know everything. Your secrets, your vulnerabilities, your mistakes. I know. This is insane. I could be the threat. This could all be an elaborate con. Is it? He turned her chair, forcing her to face him. Are you here to hurt me, Ayana? The question hung between them, loaded with 15 years of absence and the memory of a single kiss under a streetlight. No, she whispered. But I could. You're giving me the power to destroy everything you've built. Then, I guess I'm betting on the girl who always told me the truth. His hand came up, almost touching her face before he seemed to catch himself. Even when it hurt. Even when I didn't want to hear it. The moment crystallized, him looking at her like she was the answer instead of another problem, her wanting so badly to lean into that trust even though every professional instinct screamed it was a mistake. The door burst open. Simone stood in the entrance, her elegant composure cracked. Kairo, we have a situation. The Seattle facility just called. Roman Vega never arrived. Kairo's expression hardened. What? His flight landed, but he never checked in. They've been trying to reach him for 6 hours. Simone's eyes cut to Ayana. What did you do? Me? I've been here. Investigating the one person who could expose whatever you're planning. Simone stepped into the room. Isn't it convenient? You show up, Roman disappears, and suddenly we're supposed to believe he's the threat. Simone, that's not. She's in your head, Kairo. Can't you see it? Simone's voice cracked with something raw, fear or fury. Ayana couldn't tell. Some girl from your past shows up, and suddenly you're sharing classified files? Locking yourself in rooms with her? Some girl? Ayana stood. I'm the person he hired to fix this mess. Maybe if your security chief hadn't gone missing, we wouldn't need this conversation. Roman's been loyal for 3 years. You've been here 3 hours. Enough. Kairo's voice cut through the rising tension. Simone, I need you to contact the Seattle police. File a missing person report on Roman. Then pull every file he accessed in the last 3 months. You actually believe her? I believe someone is trying to sabotage this company, and Roman disappearing the night before our biggest demonstration isn't a coincidence. He moved toward the door. Ayana's going to find out who. You're going to make sure the Artemis demonstration goes forward flawlessly. That's what you're both here to do. Simone looked like she'd been slapped.
Fine.
But when this blows up in your face, remember I warned you. She left, her footsteps sharp on the concrete. Ayana released a breath she hadn't known she was holding. She's in love with you. She's protective of the company. Kairo. She gave him a look. I've been the woman watching a man from the outside. I know what that looks like. He ran a hand over his face, suddenly looking exhausted. Simone and I, it was brief. 2 years ago. It didn't work. We're better as business partners. Does she know that? She should. I was clear. But doubt flickered in his expression. You think she could be involved? I think we can't rule anyone out, even people we want to trust. The words felt heavy with meaning. How well do you really know her? I've known Simone for 5 years. She's been instrumental in every major deal we've closed. She's brilliant, dedicated, and has access to everything in this house. Ayana pulled up the employee files. What's her background? Where'd she come from? Kairo hesitated. Roman vetted her. The same Roman who's currently missing. Ayana found Simone's file, scanning it. MBA from Stanford, previous work at 3 major aerospace firms, references that all checked out. On paper, she was perfect. Did you know her before she came to work here? She was consulting for Lockheed when we first met. Helped negotiate a contract. When I needed a COO, she applied. He frowned. Why? Because something was nagging at Ayana, a detail that didn't fit. She pulled up Simone's personnel photo, then grabbed her phone, the one that was compromised, and opened the photos the hacker had sent. The childhood picture. Her and Kairo on the porch. She zoomed in on the background. There, in the window of the house behind them, a blurry figure, barely visible. Who lived in the house behind yours? She asked. The blue one with the garden? Kairo moved closer, looking at the screen. I don't remember. Why? Because someone took this photo from inside that house. She enhanced the image as much as her phone would allow. Someone who had access to pictures from our childhood. Someone who knew exactly where to look.
Her phone buzzed again.
Getting warmer. But you're running out of time. Check your email, Ayana. I sent you a gift. She pulled up her email on the server terminal, safer than her compromised phone. One new message, from an anonymous account. The subject line made her blood run cold. The real reason Kairo left you. Don't open it, Kairo said. It's manipulation. Or it's the truth you never told me. Her finger hovered over the mouse. What happened, Kairo? Why did your family disappear overnight? Ayana, please. She clicked. The email contained a single attachment. A police report from 15 years ago. She read the first line and felt the world tilt. Home invasion. Oakwood Street. Suspects fled after discovering family in witness protection. Ayana looked up at Kairo, watching the truth written on his face. You were running, she whispered. That whole time we were friends, you were hiding from something. My father witnessed a murder. Cartel execution in Providence. He testified, and they put us in WITSEC. The words came out flat, rehearsed. We had 6 months in Oakwood. Then someone found us. We had to run. New names, new city, no contact with anyone from before. You couldn't tell me? I was 17. They gave me an hour to pack.
No goodbyes, no explanations.
Just disappear. His voice cracked. Do you think I wanted to leave you? Do you think there's been a single day in 15 years I haven't thought about what I walked away from? The pain in his eyes was real, undeniable, and it was breaking something open in her chest that she'd kept locked away for years. Why come back? She asked. Why build a company? Put your face on magazine covers. If you were hiding. My father died 3 years ago. The cartel boss got life without parole. The threat was over. I got my real name back, my life back. He stepped closer. And I looked for you. For months. But Ayana Brooks had disappeared from Oakwood too. I thought maybe you'd married, changed your name. I thought I'd lost my chance. I changed my name for college, she said numbly. Used my mother's maiden name to get away from my father's debts. Changed it back after she died. When? 2 years ago. I started looking 3 years ago. The bitter irony settled between them. We were looking for each other and missing by months. Her phone buzzed. Touching reunion. Now stop wasting time. The threat didn't end with the cartel boss, Kairo. Check the attachment. Another file appeared. A photo, dated 4 days ago. A man in prison orange, sitting across from a visitor in the federal penitentiary. The prisoner's face was partially visible, older, scarred, dangerous. The visitor's face was crystal clear. Roman Vega.
No, Kairo, breathe.
Your head of security has been visiting Miguel Santos every month for a year. Santos wants revenge. Vega gave him the means. And you gave Vega the access. 46 hours, Ayana. Find Vega before he destroys everything Kairo built. Or watch the boy you loved lose it all. Ayana looked at Kairo and saw her own horror reflected back. This isn't just corporate espionage, she said. This is personal. They want to destroy you. Then we need to find Vega before the demonstration. His jaw set with determination. And we need to figure out who else is helping him. Because someone had to take that photo from inside the prison. Someone with clearance, access, authority. Ayana's mind raced. Kairo, who else knows about your WITSEC history? No one. It's sealed federal records, he stopped. Simone knows. I told her 2 years ago when we were together. She said I could trust her with anything. The pieces were clicking into place, forming a picture Ayana desperately didn't want to see. We need to find her, she said.
Now.
They ran. They found Simone in the West Wing office, surrounded by monitors displaying schematics of the Artemis propulsion system. She looked up as they burst through the door, her expression shifting from concentration to wariness. What now? She asked, but her hand had moved subtly toward her phone. How well do you know Roman Vega? Kairo's voice was controlled, but Ayana could see the tension in his shoulders. We work together. Why? Simone's eyes narrowed. Did you find him? Did you know he's been visiting Miguel Santos in federal prison? Ayana watched carefully for a reaction. Every month for the past year? Simone's face went blank with shock, genuine shock, unless she was an extraordinary actress. That's impossible. Miguel Santos is the man who... She looked at Kairo. The one your father testified against. You told her. Ayana felt something twist in her gut. Professional jealousy, personal hurt, all tangled together. I told you we were involved. And now your head of security is meeting with a cartel boss who wants revenge, and everything falls apart right before your biggest demonstration. Ayana pulled up the prison photo on her phone. Convenient timing. Simone stood slowly, her composure returning like armor. You think I'm involved in this? I think you have the access, the knowledge, and the motive. What motive? Simone's voice went sharp. I've spent 5 years building this company with Kairo. Why would I destroy it? Because he chose someone else. The words came out before Ayana could stop them. Because you're still in love with him, and he brought another woman into his house. You arrogant. Simone took a step forward. You think this is about jealousy? About you? Simone. Kairo moved between them. Just answer the question. Did you know about Roman and Santos?
No.
She looked at him, and Ayana saw hurt flash across her face. You really think I could betray you like that? After everything? I think someone got to Roman and someone helped them do it. Kairo's voice softened slightly. If it's not you, then help us find out who. Simone held his gaze for a long moment, then turned to her computer. Roman's phone is company issued. It has a tracker. Her fingers flew across the keyboard. If he's still carrying it there. A map appeared, showing a blinking in downtown Providence. The old industrial district, Kairo said. That's been abandoned for years. Perfect place to hide. Ayana was already calculating logistics. How long to get there? 30 minutes in traffic. Kairo grabbed his keys. But we're not going alone. I'm calling the police. And telling them what? That your head of security might be planning something based on anonymous texts from a hacker? Simone shook her head. They'll think you're paranoid. By the time they investigate, the demonstration will be over and so will your credibility. She's right, Ayana said reluctantly. We need proof before we involve authorities. Real evidence, not just photos that could be doctored. Kairo's jaw tightened.
Fine.
But I'm not letting you walk into a trap. Good thing I'm coming too, Simone said, grabbing her jacket. If Roman's gone rogue, I want to know why. And if someone's setting him up, we need to find out who before this gets worse. The drive to Providence was tense. Kairo drove, some custom electric vehicle that probably cost more than Ayana's annual salary, while she rode shotgun tracking Roman's phone, and Simone sat in back, making calls to postpone meetings and manage the mounting crisis. Professional. Efficient. Everything a COO should be. Ayana hated that she couldn't find a reason to distrust her beyond pure jealousy. Take the next exit, she said, watching the GPS. He's not moving. Either he ditched the phone or he's waiting. Kairo finished grimly. The industrial district was a graveyard of American manufacturing, empty warehouses with broken windows, rusted equipment slowly being reclaimed by weeds. Kairo's sleek car looked obscenely out of place navigating the potholed streets. There. Ayana pointed to a 3-story brick building with faded letters spelling out Providence Textiles. The signal's coming from inside. Kairo parked a block away, keeping the car out of sight. We go in, look around, and leave if anything feels wrong. Agreed. Agreed. Ayana lied. They both knew if Roman was in there, they weren't leaving without answers. The building's main entrance was chained shut, but Simone found a side door with a broken lock. Someone's been here recently, she whispered, pointing to fresh footprints in the dust. Inside, the warehouse was a cathedral of decay. Afternoon light slanted through broken skylights, illuminating dust motes and the stripped remains of textile machinery. Water dripped somewhere in the darkness. The air smelled like rust and abandonment. Roman, Kairo called out. His voice echoed off concrete and metal. No answer. Ayana pulled out her phone, tracking the signal. Upstairs. 2nd floor, eastern corner. They climbed a metal staircase that groaned under their weight. The 2nd floor was a maze of offices with glass walls, most of the glass now shattered and scattered across the floor like diamonds. There. Simone pointed. Roman's phone sat on a desk in the corner office, its screen glowing. Just the phone. No Roman. It's a setup, Ayana said, even as Kairo moved toward it. Kairo, wait. He picked up the phone. The screen showed a video cued to play. Don't. But he'd already pressed play. Roman Vega appeared on screen, bound to a chair in a concrete room. His face was bruised, one eye swollen shut. Blood crusted his nose and mouth. Kairo. Roman's voice was thick, slurred.
I'm sorry.
They got to my sister. Said they'd kill her if I didn't cooperate. I try to protect you, I swear, but they knew everything. The camera shifted. A figure moved into frame, face obscured by shadow. Hello, Kairo. The voice was electronically distorted, unrecognizable. I assume you're watching this with Ms. Brooks.
Good.
You should both understand what happens to people who betray me. A gunshot cracked through the phone's speaker. Roman's body jerked, then went still.
Jesus, Simone breathed.
Kairo's hand was shaking, the phone nearly dropping from his grip. Ayana caught it, her own hand steadier through sheer force of will. The shadowed figure leaned closer to the camera. That's one loose and tied up. Now, let's talk about what happens next. You have 44 hours until the Artemis demonstration. You will proceed exactly as planned. If you cancel, if you involve the authorities, if you deviate in any way, Ayana Brooks dies. Then Simone Ripley. Then everyone you've ever cared about. The figure moved, and for just a second, light caught the edge of a face. Not enough to identify, but enough to see. Female, Ayana said. The killer's a woman. Very observant, Ayana. I've always admired your skills. The voice held a hint of amusement. Which is why it's such a shame you won't live to use them much longer. Unless Kairo does exactly what I say. What do you want? Kairo's voice was raw with fury and grief. What Miguel Santos wants. What he's wanted since you took his freedom. Not just revenge, Kairo.
Destruction.
I want to watch you lose everything. Your company, your reputation, your future. And then, when you have nothing left, I want you to know it was your fault. That everyone who died because you testified. Because you thought you could escape consequences. Santos is in prison, Simone said. How is he orchestrating this? Money buys loyalty. Power transcends walls. And I've had 15 years to plan this. The figure stepped back into shadow. Here's what's going to happen. The Artemis demonstration will proceed. But I've made some modifications to the propulsion system. Small changes in the fuel mixture. Barely detectable. When you fire the engines in front of the Department of Defense and 3 international space agencies, the system will fail catastrophically. The explosion will destroy your facility, kill everyone present, and end Mendes' Aerodyne permanently. You're insane, Kairo breathed.
I'm feral.
And unless you want Ayana to end up like Roman, you'll play along. Let the demonstration happen.
Take the fall.
Spend the rest of your life knowing you killed dozens of people because you were too arrogant to stay hidden. Why are you telling us this? Ayana demanded. If you want the demonstration to fail, why warn us? Because the real revenge isn't in the explosion, Ayana. It's in the choice. The figure moved closer again, and Ayana caught a glimpse of manicured hands, elegant fingers. Kairo can cancel and watch everyone he loves die one by one. Or he can let it happen and live with the guilt. Either way, Santos wins. Either way, the boy who thought he could escape his past learns that some debts can never be paid. The video ended. Silence filled the abandoned office, broken only by their ragged breathing. We have to call the FBI, Simone said finally. This is terrorism. They threaten to kill. And if we do, she kills Ayana first. Kairo's eyes met hers, wild with fear and determination. We're not taking that risk. So, what? We just let the demonstration happen? Let people die. Simone's voice rose. Kairo, that's not a choice. There's a third option. Ayana was already thinking, her mind racing through scenarios. We find the modifications she made to the propulsion system. We fix them without anyone knowing. The demonstration goes forward, succeeds, and we catch her when she realizes her plan failed. You heard her. The changes are barely detectable. We have 44 hours to search thousands of components, any of which could be sabotaged. Then we start now. Ayana turned to Kairo, who has access to the Artemis system. At this stage, only senior engineers, and they're all in Seattle prepping. He was pulling up his phone, typing frantically. I can get the team to run diagnostics.
No.
Ayana grabbed his hand. If she's watching, any unusual activity will tip her off. We need to do this quietly.
How?
We can't exactly walk into a federal facility and start dismantling a multi-million-dollar prototype without questions. You can't if you're the CEO running final checks. Simone was already calculating. Tell the team you want a personal walkthrough before the demonstration. Bring Ayana as a security consultant. No one will question it. That puts you both at risk, Kairo said. We're already at risk. Ayana met his eyes. Someone just murdered your head of security and threatened to kill me. We're past the point of playing it safe. Drop a comment and let me know, would you trust Simone at this point, or is she playing them? I'm curious what your instincts are telling you. Kairo looked between them, then nodded slowly. Okay, we fly to Seattle tonight, but we tell no one the real reason. As far as anyone knows, this is just the boss being paranoid before the biggest day of his life. What about Roman? Simone's voice was quiet. We can't just leave him. We send an anonymous tip to the police once we're in the air, Ayana said. They'll find him, and we can't help him now. But we can make sure he didn't die for nothing. They left the warehouse in silence, each processing the horror of what they'd witnessed. As they reached the car, Ayana's compromised phone buzzed. Good choice. But don't think you're clever enough to stop this. I'm always 3 steps ahead. P.S. Ayana, ask Kairo about the real reason he became an aerospace engineer. Ask him what he promised you under that streetlight. She looked at Kairo, who'd gone very still. What does she mean? Ayana asked quietly. Later. His voice was rough. When we're somewhere safe. But as they drove back to the mansion to pack for Seattle, Ayana's mind kept circling back to that night 15 years ago. The night Kairo had kissed her under the streetlight outside her house. The night he'd told her his dreams. I'm going to build rockets, he'd said, his eyes bright with impossible hope. I'm going to go to the stars. And when I do, I'm taking you with me. She'd laughed, kissed him again, believed him completely. The next day, he was gone. Now he'd built those rockets. Created an empire from that childhood dream. But he'd never come back for her. Unless. You knew, she said suddenly. When Roman gave you my file. You knew it was me, didn't you? Kairo's hands tightened on the steering wheel. Didn't you? She pressed. I hoped, he said finally. I saw Oakwood in your background, and I let myself hope. But I didn't know for sure until you walked through my door. And you hired me anyway, brought me into your house, into this mess. She couldn't decide if she was angry or something else entirely. Why? He pulled the car over, turning to face her fully. Simone was on her phone in the back, pretending not to listen. Because 15 years ago, I made you a promise, Kairo said. And I've spent every day since trying to become someone who could keep it. I built rockets because you believed I could. I created Mendes Aerodyne because you told me to dream bigger than the neighborhood expected. And when I finally got a chance to have you in my life again, even if it was just for 2 weeks, even if you hated me, I took it. I don't hate you, she whispered. You should. He reached out, his hand cupping her face with a gentleness that made her chest ache. I left you. I broke your heart. I disappeared when you needed. You survived. She leaned into his touch, letting herself have this moment even though it was reckless and stupid and everything she shouldn't do. You built something incredible from nothing. I don't hate you for that, Kairo. I never could. Ayana. But I need you to tell me the truth. She pulled back, needing distance to think clearly. No more secrets. No more protecting me from information. If we're going to stop whoever's doing this, I need to know everything. Everything, he agreed. Starting with this. I think I know who's behind it. Simone's head snapped up. What? There was only one person outside my family who knew about the Witsec situation while it was happening. Kairo's expression was grim. The U.S. Marshal who handled our case. Her name was Victoria Chen. She had access to everything, our new identities, our location, the trial testimony. You think a federal marshal went rogue? Ayana asked. I think 15 years is a long time to be bought. And Santos had 20 million in cash that was never recovered when he was arrested. He pulled back onto the road. If Chun had access to that money, she could have been planning this for years. Waiting for the perfect moment to destroy me. We need to find her, Simone said. Confirm she's the one. I know someone who can help, Ayana said slowly. My old boss at Ashford Financial. The one who pushed me out. He's connected to DOJ, has contacts in the Marshal Service. He owes me. I thought you said he screwed you over, Kairo said.
He did, which is why he owes me.
I have emails proving he took credit for my work on 3 major cases. He'd rather help than have me leak them to the board. That's blackmail, Simone observed. That's leverage, Ayana corrected. And right now, we need all of it we can get. She pulled out her personal phone, the secure one the hacker didn't have access to, and made the call. Marcus answered on the 3rd ring. Ayana, this is a surprise. She swallowed her pride. I need a favor, Marcus. Information on a U.S. Marshal named Victoria Chen. Service record, current status, anything you can find. Why? Because if you help me, I'll delete those emails I have. The ones showing you plagiarized my security protocols for the Henley account. Silence. Then, I'll call you back in 20 minutes. He called back in 15. Victoria Chen retired from the Marshal Service 6 years ago, Marcus said. Moved to Providence. Opened a private security consulting firm. Ayana's blood ran cold. What's the firm called? Ripley Security Solutions. Ayana looked at Simone in the rearview mirror. Simone had gone white. That's my father's company, she whispered. Victoria Chen worked for my father. And just like that, all the pieces shifted again. The car swerved slightly as Kairo processed Simone's words. He recovered quickly, pulling into an empty parking lot behind a shuttered strip mall. Your father's company, he repeated, his voice carefully neutral. You never mentioned Victoria Chen worked for him. Because I didn't know. Simone's composure was cracking, fear bleeding through. My father has 40 employees. I don't know all of them. I haven't worked there in 6 years. But you recommended him for contracts, Kairo said. 3 security assessments for Mendes Aerodyne facilities. You said he was the best. He is the best. That's why Simone stopped, realization dawning on her face. Oh God. The Seattle facility. He did the security assessment there 8 months ago. Ayana's mind was already racing ahead, which means he had access to the building layouts, the security protocols, the propulsion lab. She turned to Simone. Does your father know about your relationship with Kairo? The personal history? Of course. We had dinner together when Kairo and I were. Simone's voice dropped to a whisper. I told him everything. About Witsec, about Miguel Santos. About how Kairo had finally escaped his past.
Jesus, Simone.
Cairo's hands were white-knuckled on the steering wheel. He's my father. I thought I could trust him. Tears were streaming down Simone's face now, her perfect composure completely shattered. You think he's involved? That he'd help Santos hurt you? I think we need to find out. Ayana pulled up her laptop, connecting to the car's Wi-Fi. What's your father's full name? David Ripley. But this is insane, he wouldn't. Ayana was already running searches. David Ripley, former Navy SEAL, decorated veteran, founded Ripley Security Solutions 12 years ago. Impeccable reputation, high-level government contracts, clients ranging from Fortune 500 companies to federal agencies. Nothing that screamed cartel collaborator. But then she dug deeper, pulling financial records through methods that were technically illegal but had never failed her before. Simone, does your father have a place in the Cayman Islands? A timeshare. He goes there twice a year to dive. Why? Because 6 years ago, right after Victoria Chin retired from the Marshal Service, a shell company in the Caymans received a $5 million deposit from an account linked to Miguel Santos's organization. Ayana pulled up the records. That shell company pays a quarterly stipend to Ripley Security Solutions. Has been for 6 years. Simone made a sound like she'd been punched. That doesn't prove anything, Kairo said, but his voice lacked conviction. Lots of companies have offshore accounts. Lots of companies don't receive money from cartel bosses. Ayana kept digging.
Wait.
There's another payment. 2 years ago, same shell company paid $250,000 to. She stopped. To what? Kairo leaned over to look at the screen. To a Stanford MBA program. Simone Ripley, full scholarship, tuition and expenses. The silence in the car was deafening.
No, Simone, breathe.
No, that's not. I earned that scholarship. I had perfect grades, recommendations. I'm sure you did, Ayana said gently. But someone made sure you got it. Someone who wanted you in a position to eventually work for Kairo. That was 7 years ago. Simone's voice rose, hysteria creeping in. Before Kairo even started Mendes Aerodyne. How could they have planned? Because Santos has been tracking Kairo since the trial, Ayana said, pieces clicking into a horrible place. He knew the Witsec location. He probably knew the moment Kairo's father died, the moment the protection ended. He's been waiting, planning, positioning people in Kairo's orbit. Your father.
Victoria Chen.
Maybe even Roman. Roman was NSA, Kairo protested. His background check was done by your head of security. Ayana pulled up Roman's file. Who did you hire first? Roman or Simone? Kairo's face went gray. Roman. 3 years ago. He came highly recommended. Said he'd heard about my company, wanted to be part of something revolutionary. And who recommended him? A DoD contact. General Patterson. He said Roman was the best in the business. Ayana was already searching. General Marcus Patterson, retired. Currently on the board of Ripley Security Solutions. The web was coming into focus now, intricate and terrifying. Santos had spent 15 years and millions of dollars building a network around Kairo, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. They've been planning this since I was in college, Simone whispered, horror-struck. Using me. My father let them use me. We don't know that your father's involved, Kairo said, but even he didn't sound convinced. Then why didn't he tell me about Victoria Chin? About the money? Simone looked up, her eyes red. He knew about your past. He knew Santos wanted revenge. If he was innocent, he would have warned you. Unless he couldn't, Ayana thought. Unless he was in too deep to get out. We need to talk to him, she said. Directly. Find out what he knows. He's in Seattle, Simone said hollowly. For the demonstration. He's been there all week, consulting on security for the event. Of course he had. Then that's where we go. Kairo put the car back in gear. We confront him, we find Victoria Chun, and we stop this before the demonstration. Kairo, if Victoria was the marshal on your case, she knows how to disappear, Ayana warned. She's had 6 years to prepare for this moment. Finding her won't be easy. Then it's good I have the best cybersecurity specialist in the country helping me. He reached over, taking her hand. The gesture was so natural, so right, that Ayana felt her breath catch. Simone looked away, giving them a moment of privacy. I'm sorry, Kairo said quietly, for dragging you into this, for putting you in danger. If I'd known. You'd what? Not hired me? Let someone else walk into this trap. Ayana squeezed his hand. I'm here because I choose to be Kairo. Because that boy I knew deserved to chase his dreams without being destroyed by someone else's revenge. And because. She stopped, the words catching in her throat. Because? His eyes searched hers, intense and hopeful and scared. Because I never stopped caring about you, she admitted. 15 years, and I never stopped wondering what happened to the boy who wanted to touch the stars. I'm not letting anyone take that away from you. Not Santos, not Victoria Churn, not anyone. Kairo pulled the car over again, this time in the emergency lane. Before Ayana could ask why, he was kissing her, desperate and fierce and full of 15 years of longing. She kissed him back, letting herself fall into the moment, into the feeling of his hands cradling her face like she was something precious, into the taste of him, coffee and mint and coming home. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Simone cleared her throat from the back seat. I'm happy for you both, really, she said dryly. But maybe we could survive the assassination attempt before we start the romance arc? Ayana laughed, surprised the sound could come out of her given everything. Fair point. For the record, Simone continued, her voice softer, I meant what I said before. I care about Kairo, but I can see the way you two look at each other. That's not something I can compete with. She managed a small smile. Also, my father might be working with a cartel boss to destroy everything we've built, so I have bigger problems than my love life. We'll figure this out, Kairo promised. All of it. Together. They drove back to the mansion in tense silence, each processing the revelations. When they arrived, Ayana immediately set up her equipment to start digging deeper into David Ripley's finances. That's when she found the video file. It was hidden in an encrypted folder on Victoria Chen's personal cloud storage Ayana had hacked into using credentials she'd pulled from the Ripley Security Solutions server. You need to see this, she said, her voice tight. Kairo and Simone gathered around as she played the video. It showed David Ripley in what looked like a private office, sitting across from a woman in her 50s with sharp features and calculating eyes.
Victoria Chen, presumably.
Assured me she doesn't suspect anything, David was saying. Simone thinks she's building a career on merit. She has no idea I've been positioning her. Good, Victoria replied. The girl's clean. When this goes down, she'll be collateral damage, but Santos insisted on maximum impact. My daughter is not collateral damage. David's voice went hard. That was the deal. She doesn't get hurt. Then you'd better make sure she's nowhere near Seattle when the Artemis explodes. Victoria leaned forward. Santos wants Kairo Mendes to lose everything, his company, his reputation, his future. If your daughter's standing next to him when it happens, I can't protect her. She won't be. I'll make sure she's back in Providence that day. See that you do. Because if she interferes, if she tries to help him, Santos will kill her just to make a point.
Victoria stood.
We've waited 15 years for this. Don't develop a conscience now, David. The video ended. Simone was shaking, tears streaming down her face. He was protecting me. He's been working with them, but he was trying to keep me safe. By letting everyone else die, Ayana said quietly. Simone, your father helped plan this. He might not have wanted you hurt, but he's complicit in everything else. I know. Simone's voice broke. I know. Kairo's phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Touching scene. watching you all bond over betrayal. But you're missing the real twist, Kairo. Victoria Chen isn't working for Santos. She's working for your mother. The phone slipped from Kairo's hand, clattering to the floor. What? Ayana grabbed it, reading the message again. Kairo, your mother died. You told me your father said she died in the relocation. He lied. Kairo's voice was hollow, distant. She didn't die. She left us, took the WITSEC money, and disappeared. My father said she was dead because it was easier than explaining that she'd abandoned us. And you never looked for her? Why would I? She chose to leave. Chose money over her family. His hands were shaking. But if she's alive, if she's behind this. Another message appeared. Your mother blamed your father for ruining her life. WITSEC, new identities, poverty. She never forgave him. When he died and you emerged as Kairo Mendes, Billionaire CEO, she wanted her cut. You refused to even meet with her. Remember? 2 years ago, woman claiming to be your mother? You had security, throw her out. Oh God, Kairo breathed. I thought she was a con artist. There are always people claiming to be long-lost relatives when you have money. I didn't even.
So, she made a new plan.
If she couldn't profit from your success, she'd profit from your destruction. Santos paid her 10 million to help destroy you. Victoria Chun was her marshal. They've been partners for 20 years. Now your mother gets rich, Santos gets revenge, and you lose everything. Seems fair, doesn't it? 43 hours until the demonstration, Kairo.
Tick-tock.
Ayana watched Kairo's face cycle through shock, grief, and finally hardening into something cold and determined. We end this, he said. I don't care if it's my mother, Santos, or the devil himself. We're getting on that plane to Seattle. We're finding the sabotage, and we're making sure the Artemis demonstration succeeds. And then? Simone asked quietly. And then I'm going to look my mother in the eye and ask her if destroying me was worth it. He walked out of the room, his back rigid, with controlled fury. Ayana started to follow, but Simone caught her arm. Take care of him, she said. He acts like he's made of steel, but he's not. He's just a man who's been hurt too many times. I know, Ayana said softly. I was there for the first hurt. I won't let him go through this one alone. She found Kairo in his bedroom, a massive space with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the estate. He was standing at the glass, staring out at the darkening sky. Talk to me, she said, closing the door behind her. What's there to say?
His voice was flat.
My mother wants me destroyed. She's been planning it for years. That's not exactly a conversation starter. It's a reason to be angry, hurt, human. She moved beside him, close enough to touch, but giving him space to feel whatever he needed to feel. Kairo, you don't have to be strong right now. Not with me. Something in him broke. He turned to her, and she saw the tears tracking down his face, silent, devastating. She was supposed to love me, he whispered. Parents are supposed to love their children. But she left. And now she's trying to kill me. Ayana pulled him into her arms, holding him as he shook with silent sobs. This brilliant, powerful man who'd built an empire from nothing, reduced to the hurt boy who'd lost his mother twice. I've got you, she murmured against his shoulder. I've got you, and I'm not letting go. They stood there as darkness fell, holding each other against the weight of betrayal and impossible choices. Finally, Kairo pulled back, wiping his eyes.
I'm sorry.
That was human, she finished, and needed, and nothing to apologize for. He cupped her face, his thumb tracing her cheekbone. When this is over, if we survive. We will. When we survive, he corrected with a ghost of a smile. I want to start over. Do this right. Take you to dinner, tell you everything about the last 15 years, hear about yours. Build something real. We already have something real, Ayana said. We've had it since we were kids. We just need to fight for it. He kissed her again, slower this time, tender and full of promise. When they finally broke apart, Ayana's compromised phone was buzzing with a new message. Beautiful moment. Hope you enjoyed it. Because in 43 hours, one of you will be dead. And Kairo gets to choose which one. The private jet to Seattle was luxury Ayana couldn't have imagined in her old life. Leather seats that reclined into beds, a full galley, Wi-Fi faster than her apartment internet. But none of it mattered when every minute brought them closer to a demonstration that could kill dozens. Simone sat across the aisle, making call after call to postpone meetings and manage the growing PR nightmare of Roman's disappearance. Her father had called twice. She'd let both go to voicemail. Kairo was in the back of the plane, video conferencing with his engineering team, trying to sound like a CEO doing due diligence instead of a man hunting for sabotage in his own creation. Ayana worked on her laptop, tracking every digital footprint Victoria Chen had left in the last 6 years. The woman was good: military-grade encryption, burner devices, cryptocurrency transactions that disappeared into the blockchain. But everyone made mistakes eventually. She just had to find one. Her compromised phone buzzed. She'd kept it active deliberately, letting the hacker think they still had full access while she monitored what information they were feeding her. Landing in 20 minutes. Thought you'd want to know. Your room at the facility has been prepared. 3rd floor, East Wing. Same floor as Kairo. Convenient for late-night visits. Less convenient when the building goes up in flames. Ayana's blood ran cold. Kairo. He was beside her in seconds, reading over her shoulder. They're not just sabotaging the demonstration. They're targeting the facility itself. The residential wing. Ayana pulled up the building schematics. Where your engineers sleep. Where we'll be sleeping. 47 people on site right now, Kairo said, his jaw tightening. I'm evacuating everyone. Canceling the demonstration. And condemning Ayana to death, Simone said quietly. She'd ended her call, was watching them with haunted eyes. That's what they said. You deviate from the plan, she dies. I'm not letting 47 people burn to save myself, Ayana said. You think you get a choice? Kairo's voice was harsh with fear. I'm not losing you. Not for this. Not for anything. Then we find the sabotage. Ayana forced herself to stay calm, analytical. In the next 24 hours, we search every inch of that facility and find what they've done. That's impossible. The facility is 200,000 square feet. The propulsion lab alone is. Then we're smart about it. She pulled up the security footage access she'd already hacked. I can monitor the cameras remotely, flag any suspicious activity. Simone can work the inside angle, talk to your father, find out exactly what he told Victoria.
He won't talk to me, Simone said.
Not after what he's done. He'll talk to you to protect you. Ayana met her eyes. Use that. Make him think you're in danger. He's already proven he values your life over everyone else's. That's manipulative. That's survival. Ayana's tone softened. Simone, I know he's your father. But right now, we need information more than we need clean consciences. Simone was quiet for a long moment, then nodded. Okay, I'll talk to him. The plane landed at Boeing Field at 11 p.m. A car was waiting, one of Kairo's security team, a young woman named Grace who'd been with the company for 6 months. Ayana made note of the timeline. 6 months, right when the serious breaches started. Grace, who hired you? She asked casually as they drove toward the facility. Mr. Vega, ma'am. He said the company needed more diverse security personnel. Grace smiled in the rearview mirror. I was honored. Mendes Aerodyne is doing incredible things. Roman had good instincts, Kairo said, his voice carefully neutral. You've been happy here? Very, sir. Everyone's been so welcoming. Especially Ms. Chen. She's been mentoring me on facility security protocols. Ayana and Kairo exchanged glances. Ms. Chen? Ayana asked.
Victoria Chen.
Yes, ma'am. She's a consultant helping with demonstration security. She's been here all week making sure everything's perfect. Of course she had. Has she been in the propulsion lab?
Kairo asked.
Oh, yes, sir. She did a complete security assessment 3 days ago. Spent hours in there. Grace pulled through the facility gates, which opened automatically for Kairo's vehicle. She's very thorough. I'm sure she is, Ayana muttered. The Mendes Aerodyne Seattle facility was a gleaming complex of glass and steel, the company logo illuminated against the night sky. Beautiful, state-of-the-art. And somewhere inside, a ticking time bomb. Grace pulled up to the main entrance. "I'll take your bags to your rooms, sir. Ms. Chen asked me to tell you she's waiting in the executive conference room whenever you're ready." "She knew we were coming?" Simone asked sharply. "She said Mr. Mendes always does a final walkthrough before major demonstrations." Grace smiled. "She's very good at anticipating needs." They entered the building to find Victoria Chen waiting in the lobby. She was 53 according to her file, but looked younger, elegant in a tailored suit, her salt and pepper hair cut in a sharp bob. She extended her hand to Kairo with a smile that didn't reach her cold, calculating eyes. "Mr. Mendes. Such a pleasure to finally meet you in person." Her voice was smooth, controlled. "I've heard so much about your work." Kairo didn't take her hand. "I wasn't aware we'd hired you, Miss Chen. David Ripley brought me in as a favor." Her eyes slid to Simone. "Your COO's father is an old friend. When he heard about your security concerns, he insisted I help." "How generous," Ayana said. "Especially given that you were the U.S. Marshal assigned to Kairo's family 15 years ago." Victoria's expression didn't change, but something flickered in her eyes. "I'm sorry, I don't know what you're talking about." "Don't you?" Ayana pulled out her phone, the secure one, and showed Victoria the prison photo. "That's you visiting Miguel Santos 2 months ago. Federal visitation logs confirm it. I visit many former associates in my consulting work." "Cut the bullshit," Kairo said, his voice deadly quiet. "I know my mother hired you. I know about the sabotage. And I know you've been planning this for years." Victoria studied him for a long moment, then smiled. "You're bluffing. If you actually knew about the sabotage, you'd have canceled the demonstration." "Maybe I want to watch you fail," Kairo said. "Maybe I've already found it and fixed it." "You haven't." Victoria's confidence was absolute. "Because there's nothing to find. No bombs, no tampered equipment, no obvious sabotage. Just small changes in a few thousand lines of code in the propulsion control system. Changes that won't show up in diagnostics. Changes that will cause a cascade failure exactly 90 seconds into the engine test." She was admitting it. Right here in the lobby, she was admitting everything. Ayana's hand moved to her phone to record, but Victoria was faster. She pulled a small device from her pocket and pressed a button. Every electronic device in the lobby died. Phones, computers, security cameras, all dark. "EMP pulse," Victoria said calmly. "Localized, temporary. But long enough for this conversation to stay off the record." "Why are you telling us this?" Simone demanded. "Because Kairo needs to understand his options." Victoria turned back to him. "You can spend the next 24 hours searching for code changes in a system of 47 million lines. You might even find some of them. But not all. Not enough. The demonstration will fail, people will die, and Mendes Aerodyne will be destroyed." "Or," Kairo asked, "or you transfer $50 million to an account I specify, sign over 40% of Mendes Aerodyne to a shell corporation, and walk away. The sabotage disappears. The demonstration succeeds. Everyone lives." "Everyone except my company," Kairo said. "You'll still control 60%. You'll still be CEO. You'll just have a silent partner collecting dividends." Victoria's smile was sharp. "Your mother is willing to be reasonable. She doesn't want you dead, Kairo. She just wants what she's owed." "She's owed nothing," Kairo spat. "She abandoned us. She gave birth to you, raised you for 17 years. That's worth something, don't you think?" Victoria checked her watch. "You have 12 hours to decide. The demonstration starts at noon. If I don't have confirmation of the transfer by 10 a.m., the code stays as is." "And if we go to the police?" Ayana asked. "Then I trigger a secondary protocol that floods the facility with gas and ignites it. Everyone inside dies, including the 67 people currently sleeping in the residential wing." Victoria's expression was pleasant, conversational. "The EMP will come back online in 60 seconds. Make smart choices." She walked away, her heels clicking on the polished floor. The lights flickered back on. Phones buzzed with backed-up notifications. Everything returned to normal except for the fact that they'd just been given an impossible ultimatum. "We're not paying her," Simone said immediately. "We can't. It'll never end. She'll bleed the company dry." "I'm aware," Kairo said tightly. "But we need to find that code." Ayana. 47 million lines. 12 hours. She was already calculating. Even with AI assistance, that's impossible. We'd need to know exactly what to look for. "Then we make Victoria think we're going to pay while we search," Simone suggested. "By time. She'll know we're stalling," Kairo said. "She's been 3 steps ahead this entire time." What would you do in this situation? Drop a comment below. Sometimes the best solutions come from fresh perspectives. Ayana's mind was racing, looking for angles. What if we don't search the code? What if we replace it entirely? With what? We can't rewrite the entire propulsion control system in 12 hours. No, but you have a backup, right? From before the breaches started. 6-month-old code. It's outdated, missing critical optimizations. But it works, Ayana pressed. It's not perfect, but it won't explode. It might not perform well enough to impress the DoD. If the demonstration is mediocre, we lose the contract anyway. Better than people dying, Simone said. Is it? Kairo turned to her, and Ayana saw the weight crushing him. $40 billion. That contract funds our research for the next decade. Without it, we can't compete with Lockheed, Boeing, SpaceX. We become irrelevant. 1,700 employees lose their jobs. Everything we've built disappears anyway. So we're damned either way, Simone said quietly. Ayana's secure phone rang, her old boss Marcus calling back. I found something else on Victoria Chen, he said without preamble. She has a daughter, 31 years old, working as a software engineer for Mendes Aerodyne. The floor dropped out from under Ayana. What's her name? Grace Chen. Hired 6 months ago. According to her employee file, she reports directly to Roman Vega and has clearance for the propulsion lab. Ayana finished. Marcus, I owe you. I have to go. She looked at Kairo. Grace isn't just security. She's Victoria's daughter. And she has complete access to the control systems. Son of a bitch. Kairo was already pulling up his phone. Where is she? She took our bags to our rooms, Simone said. 3rd floor, East Wing. They ran. The elevator was too slow, so they took the stairs, bursting onto the 3rd floor at full speed. Kairo's room was at the end of the hall, the door standing open. Grace was inside, standing over Ayana's luggage with a small device in her hand. Looking for something? Kairo asked, his voice deadly calm. Grace spun, her pleasant smile vanishing. Mr. Mendes. I was just planting bugs in our belongings. Ayana finished. Or maybe something more explosive? Grace's hand moved toward her waistband, but Simone was faster. She grabbed a lamp from the bedside table and swung it hard, connecting with Grace's wrist. The device flew across the room, skittering under the bed. Grace lunged for it, but Kairo caught her, pinning her arms. Get security, he ordered. Real security, not anyone Roman hired. Simone ran for the hallway while Ayana retrieved the device carefully. It was small, metallic, with a digital timer currently reading midnight. Not armed. Yet. What is this? She demanded, holding it up. Grace smiled, cold and sharp. Insurance. My mother doesn't trust you to make smart choices. It's a bomb, Ayana said, examining the mechanism. Thermite, by the look of it. Designed to burn hot and fast. If we'd gone to sleep tonight, you have woken up burning, Grace finished. But it's not just in your room. There are 17 others throughout the facility, all set to activate remotely if my mother doesn't get what she wants. You're insane, Kairo breathed. You'd kill all these people for money? I'd kill them because my mother asked me to. Grace's expression was serene, fanatical. She gave me life. I owe her everything. She gave you a death sentence, Ayana said. You think she'll let you go free after this? You're a liability. The moment she has Kairo's money, you're dead too. Doubt flickered across Grace's face. You're lying. Am I? Think about it. You've been in this building for 6 months. You know the layout, the security, the people. You're a witness to everything she's done. That makes you dangerous. She's my mother. So is Kairo's, Ayana said quietly. And she's trying to destroy him. That's what narcissists do, Grace. They use people and discard them. Even their own children. Grace's composure cracked. Shut up. You don't know anything. I know you're 21 years old with your whole life ahead of you, Ayana pressed. I know you don't want to die in a federal prison or a cartel execution. Help us, Grace. Tell us where the other devices are. We can protect you. No one can protect me from Miguel Santos. I can, Kairo said. I have resources your mother can't imagine. Witness protection, relocation, a new identity. But only if you help us right now. Security arrived. 2 men Simone confirmed she recognized from the pre-Roman era. They took custody of Grace, who was still trembling, torn between loyalty and self-preservation. The devices, Ayana said gently. Where are they? I don't know all of them, Grace whispered. My mother had other people plant some, but mine are in the executive offices. 3 of them. Boardroom, server room, and… She looked at Kairo. Your private quarters. How do we disarm them? You can't. Only my mother has the code. Grace's eyes filled with tears.
I'm sorry.
I didn't want. She said no one would get hurt if Mr. Mendes just cooperated. She said it was justice. It's revenge, Kairo said. There's a difference. They locked Grace in a secured room with guards posted outside, then convened in Kairo's temporary office, after sweeping it 3 times for explosives. 17 thermite charges throughout the facility, Simone said, her voice hollow. We can't evacuate without tipping off Victoria. We can't search for them all in time. And even if we pay her, what's to stop her from detonating them anyway? Nothing, Ayana said. She wants Kairo destroyed. The money's just a bonus. Kairo stood at the window, looking out at the sprawling facility. All those people sleeping, working, dreaming of tomorrow's historic demonstration. All of them potential casualties. I'm calling it off, he said. The demonstration, the contract, all of it. I'll evacuate the building, claim a gas leak or structural issue. Deal with the PR nightmare later. But I'm not gambling with lives. Kairo, Simone started. That's final. Ayana's compromised phone buzzed. She almost ignored it, but something made her look. A video file, sent from Victoria. She played it, then wished she hadn't. It showed her apartment in Providence. Her actual apartment, filmed from inside. The camera panned across her living room, her modest furniture, the photographs on her walls. Then it moved to her bedroom, where a figure lay sleeping in her bed. Ayana's heart stopped. Her sister,
Tasha,
who was supposed to be in Boston for grad school. The camera zoomed in on Tasha's sleeping face, peaceful and unaware. Then a hand entered the frame, holding a pillow. The video paused. Text appeared. Cancel the demonstration, and your sister suffocates in her sleep. Evacuate the building and she dies. Contact the police and she dies. You have 11 hours to transfer the money, Kairo.
Choose wisely.
Ayana couldn't breathe. Couldn't think past the image of her baby sister. 23 years old, brilliant, funny, with her whole life ahead of her, about to die because of Ayana's choices. No, she whispered. No, please. Kairo took the phone, read the message, and went white. Ayana, I'm so sorry. Pay her. Ayana grabbed his arms, desperate. Just pay her. Give her everything she wants. Please, Kairo. That's my sister. My only family. I can't. We will. He pulled her into his arms, holding her as she shook. We'll figure this out. I promise. But even as he said it, Ayana knew the truth. Victoria had won. They were out of options, out of time, out of hope. In 11 hours, Kairo would lose everything he'd built. Or Ayana would lose everyone she loved. And there was no choice that saved them both. Ayana sat on the floor of Kairo's office, her laptop open, trying to focus through the panic. Every few minutes, she'd check the video feed from her apartment. Victoria had helpfully given her access so she could watch her sister sleep, watch the faceless guard standing over Tasha with a pillow. Psychological warfare at its finest. "I've got the wire transfer ready," Kairo said quietly. He sat beside her, close enough that their shoulders touched. 50 million to the account Victoria specified. "Say the word, and I'll send it." "And then what?" Ayana's voice was raw. "She still has the thermite charges. Still has leverage. She'll bleed you dry, and the moment you can't pay anymore, then we deal with that when it comes." He took her hand. "But right now your sister lives. That's what matters." Simone paced the room, her phone pressed to her ear. "Dad, please just answer." She'd been calling David Ripley for an hour. Every call went to voicemail. "Damn it. He knows you know," Ayana said. "He's avoiding you." Or Victoria got to him first. Simone's voice cracked. "Maybe he's already dead. Maybe that's how she ties up loose ends." A soft knock at the door made them all tense. Kairo moved to answer it, keeping Ayana behind him. One of the guards stood there with Grace Chin. "She says she'll only talk to Ms. Brooks," the guard said. "Says it's urgent." Ayana stood, wiping her eyes. "Let her in." Grace entered, wrists zip-tied, mascara streaked down her face. She looked younger than her 21 years, terrified and lost. "I need immunity," she said immediately. "Full immunity, witness protection, everything. I'll give you all of it, my mother's plans, Santos's network, every detail. But I need protection first." "You're not exactly in a position to negotiate," Simone said coldly. "I am if I'm the only one who knows where all 17 charges are planted." Grace's eyes were desperate but calculating. "My mother thinks I only placed 3. She had other people plant the rest. But I have access to the security feeds. I watch them do it. I know every location." Kairo stepped forward. "Why would you help us?" "Because you were right." Grace looked at Ayana. "About my mother. I called her after you took me. Told her I'd been caught. Asked her what to do. She said." Her voice broke. "She said I should have been more careful. That she couldn't help me now. That I knew the risks." "She abandoned you," Ayana said softly. "Just like she abandoned every other person who worked for her." Grace's hands were shaking. I heard it in her voice. I was already dead to her. A problem to be eliminated. "Show us the charges," Kairo said. "All of them. Then we'll talk about immunity." Grace nodded to the laptop. "Pull up the security footage from the last week. I'll walk you through each placement." They spent the next 40 minutes cataloging every thermite charge. Grace had been thorough. She'd watched not just her own placements, but every other operative Victoria had sent in. Contractors, cleaning crews, even a food service worker. All of them placing small metallic devices in strategic locations throughout the facility. "That one's under the main propulsion engine," Grace said, pointing to a feed from 3 days ago. "Placed by a man claiming to be from the calibration team. That goes off during the demonstration, and the whole lab becomes an inferno." "Can we remove them?" Simone asked. "Not without the disarm code. They're tamper-proof. Try to move one, and it detonates immediately." Grace pulled up another feed. "But my mother has to trigger them remotely. She's using a custom app on her phone." Ayana's mind started racing. "An app means a signal, which means we can intercept it." "You'd need access to her device," Grace said. "Or the ability to clone it, and her phone has military-grade encryption. That I've cracked before." Ayana was already typing, pulling up Victoria's digital footprint. "When she used that EMP device in the lobby, did you see what kind of phone she had?" "Latest iPhone," Simone said. "I noticed because it had a custom case, red leather with gold accents." "Vanity," Ayana muttered. "Good. Vain people make mistakes." She pulled up the facility's Wi-Fi logs. "If she's connected to the network here, I can potentially create a mirror of her device through the cloud backup." "That'll take hours," Grace said. "You have 11, no, 10 now." "Then I'd better work fast." Ayana looked at Kairo. "I need you to stall her. Make her think you're cooperating, keep her talking. Every minute she's distracted is another minute I have to crack her phone." "And your sister?" Kairo asked gently. Ayana's hands stilled on the keyboard. Tasha, still sleeping, still unaware of the danger hovering over her. I have a friend in Providence, PD, Simone said quietly. Someone I dated in college. I can call him, ask him to do a wellness check on your apartment. Make it seem routine, noise complaint from a neighbor, something innocent. If there's someone in there with your sister, he'll find them. And if Victoria's people kill Tasha the moment police arrive? They won't. Grace's voice was certain. I know the man my mother sent. His name's Marcus Cole, former Marine, works for Santos doing enforcement. But he has a daughter Tasha's age. He won't hurt a sleeping girl unless he absolutely has to. If the police show up for a noise complaint, he'll hide. Let them check and leave. His orders are to kill her only if you betray Victoria. It was a thin thread of hope, but it was something. Make the call, Ayana told Simone. But tell your friend to be subtle.
No lights, no sirens.
Just a friendly knock. While Simone stepped into the hallway to call, Kairo crouched beside Ayana. What do you need from me?
Time.
Distraction. And for you to trust that I can do this. She looked up at him, seeing her own fear reflected in his eyes. We're going to lose everything if we pay her, Kairo. Your company, your life's work. I don't care about the company. He cupped her face in his hands. I care about you. About Tasha. About the people in this building. Money and contracts can be rebuilt. Lives can't. Kairo. Listen to me. His thumbs traced her cheekbones, gentle and grounding. 15 years ago, I lost everything. My home, my identity, you. I spent years building Mendes Aerodyne because I thought success would fill that hole. But standing here now, watching you work, seeing how brilliant and brave you are, I realized the company was never the point. You were. Getting back to you was. Tears spilled down her cheeks. That's a terrible business strategy. He laughed, the sound broken but real. Worst I've ever had. But I mean it. We'll beat Victoria. We'll save Tasha and everyone here. And if we have to burn my company to the ground to do it, then that's what we do. We're not burning anything except Victoria's plan. Ayana kissed him, quick and fierce. Now go. Find her. Keep her busy. And for God's sake, don't transfer that money until I give you the signal. He stood, then paused at the door. What signal? You'll know it when you see it. She was already deep in the code, tracking Victoria's phone through the facility's network. Trust me. He left with Grace and the guards, leaving Ayana alone with her screens and the impossible task ahead. She worked in a fury, fingers flying across the keyboard. Victoria's phone was encrypted, yes, but it was connected to the facility Wi-Fi. And anything connected to a network could be accessed if you were smart enough and desperate enough. Ayana was both. 30 minutes in, she found the vulnerability, a routine iCloud backup that Victoria had forgotten to disable. Amateur mistake for a professional operative, but everyone slipped eventually. She created a mirror image of Victoria's phone on her own system, gaining access to every app, every file, every communication, including the Trigger app for the thermite charges. Got you, Ayana breathed. The app was custom-built, sophisticated. It showed all 17 charge locations with active/inactive status indicators. Currently all inactive. A single button would arm them all simultaneously. Another button would detonate.
Simple.
Elegant.
Deadly.
Ayana started building a counterprogram, something that would intercept Victoria's trigger signal and redirect it to a null command. Basically, when Victoria tried to activate the charges, nothing would happen. But it was delicate work. One wrong line of code, and she'd trigger the charges herself. Her phone rang, Simone. The police checked your apartment, she said immediately.
Tasha's fine.
They knocked. Someone answered claiming to be her boyfriend, said Tasha had a migraine and was sleeping. The officer apologized for disturbing them and left. Relief flooded through Ayana so intensely, she felt lightheaded. Did they get a look at the man? Big guy, crew cut, Marine's tattoo. Matches Grace's description of Marcus Cole. Simone paused. Ayana, he could still hurt her. We bought time, but... I know. I'm working on it. Ayana pulled up another screen. How's Kairo doing? Stalling like a champion. He's got Victoria in the boardroom going over wire transfer details. She's actually explaining her entire plan to him. I think she can't resist gloating. Classic narcissist behavior. Keep her talking. I'm almost done here. 45 minutes later, Ayana had it, a complete intercept program that would render Victoria's trigger app useless. She tested it 3 times in a sandbox environment, making sure it wouldn't accidentally activate anything. It worked perfectly. Now she just needed to deploy it to Victoria's actual device without her noticing. She pulled up the facility's network controls. Victoria's phone was still connected, still syncing with the cloud. If Ayana pushed the update through as a routine iOS patch, she held her breath and deployed the code. Victoria's phone downloaded the update automatically, installing Ayana's program beneath the existing app. From Victoria's perspective, nothing had changed. But when she tried to arm the charges, the signal would be intercepted and nullified. Ayana's hands were shaking as she tested the connection one more time.
Solid.
Stable. Active. She'd done it. Now for the sister problem. She pulled up her secure messaging app and sent a text to a number she'd hoped never to use, a contact from her previous work who specialized in the kind of problems that required unofficial solutions. Need a wellness check in Providence. Armed hostile in civilian apartment. Civilian must be extracted safely and quietly. Will pay triple your usual rate. The response came back in 30 seconds. Send address. On it. Ayana sent Tasha's address and every detail she had on Marcus Cole. Her contact, a woman who'd worked private security for 20 years and owed Ayana a favor, was the best in the business. If anyone could get Tasha out safely, it was her. Now for the final piece. Ayana pulled up the propulsion system code, all 47 million lines that supposedly contained Victoria's sabotage. Grace had been right, finding the specific changes in that much code was impossible in the time they had. But Ayana didn't need to find them. She just needed to make sure they didn't execute. She built a sandbox environment within the propulsion control system, a virtual container that would run the code in isolation first, flag any anomalous commands, and prevent them from executing on the actual hardware. It was crude. It would slow down the system's response time, might cause minor performance issues during the demonstration, but it would prevent catastrophic failure. She was implementing the final protocols when Simone burst into the room. Ayana, my father's here. He just walked into the building and demanded to see me. Where's Victoria? Still with Kairo. She doesn't know Dad's here yet. Simone's eyes were red. What do I do? You talk to him, Ayana said. Find out why he came. And Simone? Use the fact that you're his daughter. Make him remember that you're not just collateral damage. Simone nodded and left. Ayana finished deploying the sandbox protocols, then pulled up the boardroom security feed. Kairo sat across from Victoria, his posture relaxed even though Ayana could see the tension in his shoulders. Victoria was leaning back, confident, explaining something with expansive hand gestures. And once the transfer clears, you'll receive the disarm codes within the hour, she was saying. The demonstration proceeds smoothly, everyone lives, and we all get what we want. Civilized, don't you think? Civilized, Kairo repeated. That's one word for extortion. I prefer to think of it as a family business restructuring.
Victoria smiled.
Your mother sends her regards, by the way. She's quite proud of how this has unfolded. I'm sure she is. Kairo's voice was ice. Tell me something, Victoria. When this is over and you have my money, what's to stop my mother from coming back for more? Well, the 40% stake ensures a steady income stream. But it's never enough, is it? Not for people like her. Like you. He leaned forward. You'll keep taking until there's nothing left. And then you'll kill me anyway because I'm a liability who knows too much. Victoria's smile didn't waver. You're very cynical, Kairo.
I'm realistic.
My mother taught me that when she abandoned her family for money. He pulled out his phone. So here's my counteroffer. I transfer 25 million right now. You get nothing else. And you disappear. New identity, new country, new life. Because if you stay, I will dedicate every resource I have to destroying you. That's not the deal. It's the only deal you're getting. Cairo's voice cut like a blade. Because in about 30 seconds, Ayana Brooks is going to neutralize every advantage you have. The charges won't detonate. The sabotaged code won't execute. And your entire plan falls apart. Victoria's expression finally changed shock, then fury. You're bluffing. Am I? Kairo smiled. Check your phone. Try to arm the charges. Victoria pulled out her phone, her fingers moving across the screen. She tapped the activation button. Nothing happened. She tried again. And again. Her face went white, then red with rage. What did you do? I hired the best cybersecurity specialist in the country, Kairo said calmly. What did you think would happen? Victoria stood, her chair scraping harshly. You think you've won? I still have insurance. Marcus Cole? The man watching Ayana's sister? Cairo's smile widened. He's currently being extracted by a private security team. Tasha's safe. Cole's in custody. Your insurance policy just expired. Ayana watched Victoria's face cycle through emotions, disbelief, rage, calculation. The woman was looking for an angle, a way to salvage the situation. She wouldn't find one. Ayana had made sure of that. Her phone buzzed. A text from her contact in Providence. Package secured. Hostile neutralized without incident. Civilian unharmed and confused about why her boyfriend just got arrested. Sending you the bill. Ayana nearly sobbed with relief. Tasha was safe. She switched to the feed from the facility entrance and saw David Ripley in the lobby with Simone. Their conversation looked intense, emotional. As Ayana watched, David pulled Simone into a hug, both of them shaking. Whatever Simone had said, it had worked. Ayana activated her mic to the boardroom. Kairo, you're clear. All packages secure. She watched him relax infinitesimally, saw the relief flash across his face. You heard that, Victoria, he said. It's over. Take the $25 million and run, or stay and face federal charges for terrorism, attempted murder, and conspiracy. Miguel Santos will kill me if I fail, Victoria said, her voice hollow. That's not my problem. Kairo stood. You have 60 seconds to decide. After that, I call the FBI. Victoria stared at him, her carefully constructed plan crumbling around her. Then she grabbed her phone and ran. Ayana tracked her through the facility cameras, Victoria sprinting for the parking lot, jumping into a car, speeding toward the exit. Let her go, Kairo said into his phone, speaking to security. Just make sure she leaves the property. Ayana sat back, exhausted and triumphant. They'd done it. Against impossible odds, they'd won. Kairo appeared in the doorway minutes later, and she launched herself into his arms. Tasha, he asked, holding her tight. Safe. Confused, but safe. She pulled back to look at him. The charges are neutralized. The code's sandboxed. The demonstration can proceed. We're really doing this? After everything? We're really doing this. She kissed him. You're going to show the world what Mendes Aerodyne can do. What you can do. He kissed her back, deep and grateful and full of promise. When they finally broke apart, Simone was standing in the doorway with her father. David Ripley looked older than his photos, worn down by guilt and fear. Mr. Mendes, he said quietly, I owe you an explanation. And an apology. You owe me a lot more than that, Kairo said. But I'm listening. Victoria approached me 6 years ago with information about Santos and your family. Said she could offer me lucrative contracts if I helped position certain people in your orbit. David's voice was heavy with shame. I told myself it was just business intelligence, that I wasn't really hurting anyone. But I knew. Deep down, I knew what she was planning. Why didn't you stop it? Simone asked, her voice breaking. Because I was weak. Because the money was good. Because I convinced myself you'd be safe, and that's all that mattered. David looked at his daughter. But you were right to call me. When you said you were in danger, that Kairo needed help, I couldn't let it happen. I'm here to give you everything. Names, accounts, communications. Everything you need to destroy Victoria's network and protect yourself from Santos. In exchange for what? Kairo asked. Nothing. I don't deserve anything. David straightened. Except maybe the chance to protect my daughter one more time by doing the right thing. Kairo studied him for a long moment, then nodded. Federal prosecutors will want your testimony. You'll likely face charges. I know. I'm ready. Dad, Simone started. It's okay, sweetheart. David managed a sad smile. It's past time I faced consequences for my choices. But I want you to know, none of this was your fault. You were always the best thing I ever did. Simone hugged him, both of them crying. Ayana leaned against Kairo, watching the reunion. One more problem, she said quietly. Your mother. Victoria didn't act alone. I know. His jaw tightened. But that's a problem for tomorrow. Tonight, we have a demonstration to prepare for. You sure you want to go through with it? After everything? More sure than ever. He turned to face her fully. Because I'm not letting them win, Ayana. Not Victoria, not Santos, not my mother. I built this company to prove I was more than my past. Tomorrow, I'm going to prove it to the world. She smiled. Then let's make sure it's a demonstration they'll never forget. They had 8 hours until the Artemis test. 8 hours to finalize systems, brief the team, and prepare for the moment that would define Mendes Aerodyne's future. But for the first time since Ayana had walked into Kairo's mansion, she felt something other than fear. She felt hope. The Artemis propulsion lab at 6 a.m. was a hive of controlled chaos. Engineers ran final diagnostics while DoD observers took their seats in the reinforced viewing gallery. Media crews set up cameras to broadcast the demonstration to space agencies worldwide. Everything gleamed under harsh fluorescent lights, the future on display. And in the center of it all, the Artemis engine itself, a masterpiece of aerospace engineering, capable of generating thrust levels that would revolutionize commercial space travel. If it worked, Ayana sat in the control room with Kairo and his chief engineer, Dr. Sarah Martinez, monitoring every system. The sandbox protocols she'd implemented were running smoothly, flagging and quarantining 3 suspicious command sequences already. Victoria's sabotage, nullified before it could execute. Fuel mixture optimal, Dr. Martinez reported. Pressure chambers reading normal. We're go for ignition sequence in T-4 hours. Copy that, Kairo said, his voice steady despite the tension in his shoulders. He'd barely slept, spending the night coordinating with David Ripley and federal agents to map out Santos's entire network. They'd made significant progress. 17 arrests across 3 states. Victoria Chen's location tracked to a private airfield, where she'd been detained attempting to board a flight to Venezuela. But Kairo's mother, Ayana Mendes, or whatever name she was using now, remained in the wind. She'll surface, Simone had said during their 4 a.m. strategy session. People like her can't resist watching their plans unfold, even if they're failing. Ayana hoped Simone was right. The uncertainty gnawed at her. Her phone buzzed. A text from Tasha. What the actual hell, Ayana? Police said I was in danger? And that guy I was seeing was some kind of criminal? Are you okay? Call me. Ayana smiled despite everything and typed back. Long story.
I'm fine.
You're safe. We'll explain everything tomorrow.
Love you.
You better. And you're buying dinner. Expensive dinner.
Deal.
Everything okay? Kairo asked quietly, reading her expression. Tasha's demanding I buy her dinner to make up for the whole almost got killed by a cartel enforcer thing. He laughed, the sound exhausted but genuine. Fair trade. I'll take you both to the best restaurant in Providence. Confident we'll survive long enough for that dinner? I have to be. He took her hand, threading their fingers together. I didn't fight this hard to lose now. Mr. Mendes? Dr. Martinez called from her station. We have a situation. Ayana's stomach dropped. What kind of situation? Someone's trying to access the propulsion control system remotely. My sandbox is blocking them, but they're using some serious processing power. Military grade. Trace it, Kairo ordered. Ayana was already on it, her fingers flying across the keyboard. The attempted intrusion was sophisticated, probing for weaknesses in her defenses. But whoever was behind it had made one critical mistake. They were using a device that had previously connected to the facility network.
Got it, she said.
The signal's coming from inside the building. Main level, west corridor. That's the visitor center, Simone said, pulling up the floor plan. There's a VIP lounge for demonstration guests. Who's in there? Kairo demanded. Dr. Martinez checked the guest list. 37 people. DoD representatives, space agency officials, board members, investors. She stopped, her face going pale. And one late addition, added to the list 2 hours ago by someone with executive clearance.
Who?
Ayana asked, already knowing the answer.
Ayana Mendes.
Listed as Kairo's mother, here to witness his achievement. The room went silent. She's here, Kairo breathed. She came to watch it fail in person. Or to try one more time, Ayana said. That remote access attempt, she's not giving up. Even with Victoria caught, even with the network dismantled. She's going to try to sabotage the demonstration herself. Then we confront her. Kairo stood, his expression hardening.
Now.
Wait. Ayana grabbed his arm. If you confront her publicly, in front of all those observers, it becomes a spectacle.
Questions get asked.
The demonstration gets delayed or canceled. That's what she wants, to destroy your credibility even if she can't destroy the engine. So, what do you suggest? We let her think she's succeeding. Ayana pulled up the control interface. I can create a false access point, make it look like her intrusion is working while actually giving her access to a dummy system. She thinks she's sabotaging the engine, but she's really just wasting her time in a sandbox. That's brilliant, Dr. Martinez said. But what happens when the demonstration succeeds anyway? She'll know she failed. That's when we arrest her, Simone said. FBI agents are already on site for security. We have them standing by, and the moment she realizes her sabotage didn't work, we take her into custody. Kairo looked at Ayana. Can you build the dummy system in time? I already have one running for the sandbox protocols. I just need to redirect her access. She was already coding as she spoke. Give me 20 minutes. 19 minutes later, Ayana had created a perfect replica of the propulsion control interface. Anyone accessing it would believe they had full control when they actually had nothing. She's in, Dr. Martinez reported, watching the intrusion attempts. She just gained what she thinks is admin access. On Ayana's screen, she could see Elena's commands coming through, subtle changes to fuel ratios, pressure adjustments, timing modifications. Everything designed to cause catastrophic failure. Everything harmless in the dummy system. She's good, Ayana admitted grudgingly. If I hadn't sandboxed the real controls, this would have worked. But you did, Kairo said. Which means we win. 2 hours later, the VIP lounge was packed with dignitaries and observers. Ayana stood with Kairo at the entrance, scanning the crowd for the woman who'd given birth to him and then tried to destroy him. There, Simone said quietly, pointing to a woman in the back corner. Ayana Mendes was 61 but looked 50, her dark hair elegantly styled, wearing a designer suit that screamed money. She sat alone, a tablet in her lap, her attention focused on the screen rather than the people around her. Still trying to sabotage the demonstration, even now. She looks like you, Ayana said softly. Same eyes. Same cheekbones. Same capacity for ruthlessness, apparently. Kairo's voice was flat, emotionless. Let's get this over with. They moved through the crowd toward Ayana. She looked up as they approached, her expression flickering from surprise to calculation in an instant. Kairo. Her voice was warm, maternal, completely fake. I wasn't sure you'd speak to me. I wouldn't have, except you're attempting to sabotage my demonstration in real time. He gestured to her tablet. Did you really think we wouldn't notice? Elena's smile didn't waver. I have no idea what you're talking about. I'm simply reviewing some financial reports while I wait for your presentation. Financial reports that include root access to our propulsion control system? Ayana said. That's impressive multitasking. Elena's eyes cut to her, sharp and assessing. And you are Ayana Brooks, the person who's been stopping every one of your attacks for the past 48 hours. Something dangerous flickered in Elena's expression.
Ah,
The childhood sweetheart. Victoria mentioned you. Said you were talented but sentimental. She looked back at Kairo. I see you've inherited your father's taste in romantic partners, preferring loyalty over ambition. Loyalty over greed, you mean? Kairo said coldly. I know everything, Mother. Victoria's in custody. Santos's network is dismantled. David Ripley's cooperating with federal prosecutors. Your plan failed. Did it? Elena stood, setting her tablet aside. Because I'm looking at a room full of the most powerful people in aerospace and defense, all waiting to see if your precious engine works. She checked her watch, 93 minutes. When you fire that engine, it's going to fail spectacularly. Oh, it won't explode. That would be too obvious. But it won't generate the thrust you promised. It'll sputter and die, and all these people will leave knowing Mendes Aerodyne can't deliver on its commitments. Except we fixed your sabotage, Simone said. You fixed Victoria's sabotage. Elena's smile widened. The thermite charges, the code modifications, those were always meant to be found. They were distractions while I implemented the real failsafe. Ayana's blood ran cold. What failsafe? Did you really think I'd trust everything to Victoria-chan? A woman motivated purely by money.
Elena Lauget. No.
I had my own engineer. Someone brilliant, someone loyal to me. Someone who's been working for Mendes Aerodyne for 3 years. Dr. Martinez's voice crackled through Ayana's earpiece. Mr. Mendes, we have a problem. Someone just locked me out of the primary control systems. I can't access anything. Kairo's expression went deadly calm.
Who?
I don't know. The override came from inside the facility, but I can't trace. An explosion rocked the building. Not massive, controlled, precise, but enough to send people screaming, scrambling for exits. Through the chaos, Ayana saw Elena moving toward the door, slipping away in the confusion. Stop her, Kairo shouted. But Elena was faster than she looked, and the panicking crowd provided perfect cover. By the time security responded, she'd vanished into the corridors. Dr. Martinez, what's happening? Kairo demanded into his radio. Controlled detonation in the coolant system. Not enough to destroy anything, but the Artemis engine is now offline. Her voice was tight with frustration. We can't run the demonstration. The system won't restart. Where did the detonation originate? Sublevel 2. Maintenance access. And Kairo, whoever did this knew exactly where to hit us. They had intimate knowledge of the engine's specifications. Ayana was already running, heading for the sublevel access with Kairo and Simone behind her. If Elena had another operative in play, someone with deep system knowledge. They burst into the sublevel to find a man in an engineer's uniform standing by the coolant controls, a detonator in his hand. A man Ayana recognized from the personnel files. Dr. James Morrison, propulsion specialist. Hired 3 years ago. Recommended by Roman Vega. Another plant. Step away from the controls, Kairo said, his voice steady despite the situation. Can't do that, Mr. Mendes. Morrison's voice was apologetic. Elena pays better than you do, and she's promised me a position at her new company, the one she's building with Santos's money and your ruined reputation. You destroy this engine and you'll go to prison, Simone said. I haven't destroyed it. Just made it so it can't run today. Morrison smiled. By the time you fix the damage, all these important people will have left. The contracts will go to your competitors. Mendes Aerodyne becomes a cautionary tale. Wrong, Ayana said. She'd been typing on her phone while Morrison talked, accessing the facility systems through her backdoor protocols. What? Morrison started. Every screen in the sublevel blazed to life, showing security footage. Morrison planting the explosive. Morrison taking calls from Elena. Morrison transferring money to offshore accounts. All time-stamped. All documented. All being simultaneously uploaded to federal law enforcement servers. You see, Ayana said conversationally, while you were monologuing, I was building a case. The FBI has everything now. You're not walking away from this. Morrison's expression crumpled. Elena said there wouldn't be evidence. Elena lied, Kairo said. Which you would have known if you'd done any research on her history of betraying people who work for her. Security arrived then, taking Morrison into custody. As they led him away, Dr. Martinez's voice came through again. Kairo, I've assessed the damage. The coolant system is offline, but I think I can bypass it using the secondary heat exchanger. It's not ideal. We'll get maybe 80% performance instead of 100%, but it'll work. How long to implement? Kairo asked. 45 minutes if I have a full team. Kairo looked at Ayana, then at the clock. They had 73 minutes until the scheduled demonstration. Do it, he said. Everyone gets back to work. We're running this demonstration exactly as planned. Kairo, 80% performance might not be enough to impress the DoD, Simone started. It's enough to show them we can adapt under pressure. That Mendes aerodyne doesn't fold when things go wrong. His eyes blazed with determination. And it's enough to prove to my mother that I'm stronger than she ever believed. If you're still here reading this, drop a comment below. I want to know, what would you say to someone who tried to destroy everything you built? Sometimes your answers surprise me more than the story itself. They raced back to the control room, where Dr. Martinez and her team were already implementing the bypass. 43 minutes of frantic work, triple-checking every connection, every calculation. With 30 minutes to spare, Dr. Martinez stepped back. We're ready. It's not perfect, but it'll fly. Kairo addressed the reassembled crowd, somewhat smaller now, some observers having left after the incident, with calm authority. Ladies and gentlemen, we experienced a minor setback with our coolant system. But that's what testing is for. We've implemented a workaround, and the demonstration will proceed as scheduled. He didn't mention sabotage. Didn't mention his mother. Just projected confidence and competence.
The countdown began.
Ayana watched from the control room, monitoring every system. The sandbox protocols were clean. The bypass was holding. Everything looked perfect. At T-minus 60 seconds, her phone buzzed. One last message from Elena. Clever boy. But you're forgetting something. I carried you for 9 months. I know how you think. I know you'd never risk lives during the test. So, I didn't sabotage the engine. I sabotaged the viewing gallery. Ayana's head snapped up, looking through the reinforced glass at the gallery full of observers. Above them, she saw it, a hairline crack in the ceiling, barely visible. And behind the ceiling tiles, a faint red glow. More thermite charges. Set to detonate when the engine reached maximum heat output. The blast wouldn't touch the engine, but it would bring down the gallery ceiling, killing everyone inside. Kairo, abort. Ayana screamed. Abort the test.
What? Why?
The gallery. She rigged the gallery. T-minus 30 seconds. Kairo didn't hesitate. He hit the emergency shutdown. Nothing happened. Override's been locked out, Dr. Martinez said, panic creeping into her voice. Someone disabled the abort protocols. T-minus 20 seconds. Evacuate the gallery. Kairo shouted into his radio. Everyone out.
Now.
But the doors had locked. Magnetic seals engaged. Someone had trapped the observers inside. T-minus 10 seconds. Ayana's mind raced. The thermite charges were tied to heat sensors. They'd detonate when the engine reached operating temperature. She couldn't disable them remotely because they weren't networked. Couldn't evacuate the gallery because the doors were sealed. But she could change one variable. Dr. Martinez, can you vent the engine exhaust into the coolant system? That would cause a feedback loop. The engine would shut down automatically.
Exactly.
Before it reaches detonation temperature. But the demonstration will fail. Everything we worked for is worthless if everyone dies. Ayana was already implementing the protocol, overriding the safety systems. Do it. T-minus 5 seconds. Dr. Martinez triggered the exhaust vent. The Artemis engine ignited beautifully, thrust building exactly as designed. Then the exhaust redirected into the coolant system, creating immediate thermal overload. Alarms blazed. The automatic shutdown engaged. The engine powered down 37 seconds into what should have been a 10-minute test. In the gallery, the thermite charges remained inert. The heat threshold never reached. The observers were safe. But the demonstration was a failure. Silence filled the control room. Through the glass, Ayana could see the DoD representatives standing, shaking their heads. The space agency officials were already making calls, probably to competitors. Kairo stood frozen, watching his dream die in real time.
I'm sorry, Ayana whispered.
But I couldn't let them. You saved their lives. He turned to her, and instead of anger, she saw only gratitude. You made the right choice. Mr. Mendes? One of the DoD observers had entered the control room, a woman in her 50s with 4 stars on her uniform. General Patricia Chen. I need an explanation for what just happened. An assassination attempt, General. Kairo's voice was steady. Someone rigged explosives in the viewing gallery, set to detonate when the engine reached operating temperature. My team identified the threat and aborted to save lives. Whose lives were threatened? General Chen's eyes were sharp, assessing.
Yours.
Everyone in that gallery. He gestured to Ayana. My security consultant can provide you with all the evidence. Ayana pulled up the schematics on her tablet, showing the thermite placement, the heat sensors, the door locks. Everything Elena had implemented for one final act of revenge. General Chen studied the data, her expression unreadable. Then she looked at Kairo. You killed your own demonstration to protect observers you'd never met. Sacrificed a $40 billion contract to save lives. Yes, ma'am. That's either the stupidest business decision I've ever seen,
She paused.
or the most honorable. I'm inclined to believe it's the latter. She extended her hand. The DoD values partners who prioritize human life over profit margins, Mr. Mendes. We'll reschedule the demonstration for next month. And I'll personally recommend you receive additional security support from federal agencies. Kairo shook her hand, stunned. Thank you, General. Don't thank me yet. You still have to make that engine work. She smiled slightly. But I have a feeling you will. As the observers filed out, alive, safe, and apparently more impressed than if the test had succeeded, Ayana felt Kairo's arms wrap around her from behind. We did it, he whispered against her hair. We actually did it. We survived, she corrected. The demonstrations still failed. But we get another chance. And everyone lives to see it. He turned her to face him. That's a win in my book. Simone approached, her phone in hand. FBI just arrested Elena. They caught her trying to leave the facility. She's being charged with attempted murder, terrorism, conspiracy. The list is extensive. Good, Kairo said simply. There's more. Simone hesitated. She wants to talk to you. Says she has information about Santos's operations that she'll trade for a reduced sentence. Kairo was quiet for a long moment, then nodded. Set it up. But I want federal prosecutors present. And Ayana. Me? Ayana asked.
Why?
Because you see through lies better than anyone I know. And because I need you there. His hand found hers. I need you for all of it. 3 hours later, in a federal holding facility, Kairo sat across from his mother for the first time in 15 years. Elena looked diminished in her orange jumpsuit, her elegant facade stripped away. But her eyes still held that calculating gleam. You look good, Kairo, she said. Success suits you. Let's skip the pleasantries, Kairo said flatly. What information do you have? Santos has operations in 6 countries. Accounts in 12. He's been planning something bigger than your destruction. He wants to destabilize the commercial space industry entirely. Your company was just the first target. Why should I believe you? Because I have names, dates, account numbers. Everything you'd need to dismantle his empire completely. Elena leaned forward. I'll give it all to you in exchange for witness protection and a reduced sentence. No, Kairo said.
Elena blinked. No.
You tried to kill innocent people to get revenge on me for perceived slights. You destroyed lives because I wouldn't give you money. You weaponized my past, my dreams, everything I built. His voice was ice. I don't negotiate with terrorists. You're going to prison for the rest of your life. And I'm going to sleep soundly knowing you can never hurt anyone again. I'm your mother. You're a stranger who shares my DNA. My mother died the day she chose money over her family.
He stood.
Enjoy prison, Elena. I hope it was worth it. He walked out without looking back. Ayana caught up to him in the hallway. Are you okay? I will be. He took a shaky breath. That needed to happen. I needed to say it. For what it's worth, I'm proud of you. He pulled her close, holding her like a lifeline. It's worth everything. 1 month later, the morning of the rescheduled Artemis demonstration dawned clear and bright over Seattle. Ayana stood at the window of Kairo's facility apartment, watching the sun paint the sky in shades of gold and rose, and marveled at how much had changed in 30 days. Ayana Mendes was in federal custody, facing 73 counts ranging from attempted murder to terrorism. Miguel Santos's entire network had collapsed after Ayana, desperate to reduce her sentence despite Kairo's refusal to negotiate, gave prosecutors everything anyway. 17 arrests, $340 million in seized assets, and the effective dismantling of one of the East Coast's most dangerous criminal organizations. Victoria Chun had pleaded guilty to conspiracy and was serving 20 years. David Ripley had cooperated fully with authorities and received a reduced sentence of 5 years. Simone had been there for his sentencing, holding his hand while he apologized to the court and to his daughter. Grace Chun was in witness protection, starting a new life far from her mother's shadow. And Dr. James Morrison was facing 15 to 20 years for sabotage and attempted murder. The good guys had won. But more than that, they'd survived. Healed.
Grown.
You're up early. Kairo's voice came from behind her, warm and sleep-rough. His arms wrapped around her waist, pulling her back against his chest. Nervous? Excited? Ayana corrected, leaning into him. Today's your day, Kairo. Everything you've worked for. Our day, he corrected, pressing a kiss to her temple. I couldn't have gotten here without you. In the months since the failed demonstration, Ayana had officially joined Mendes Aerodyne as chief security officer. Simone had personally offered her the position, joking that anyone who could take down a cartel conspiracy deserved a permanent role. But it was more than a job. It was a home. Ayana had spent 15 years feeling like she didn't belong anywhere, pushed out of opportunities, overlooked for promotions, never quite fitting. But here, with Kairo's brilliant engineers and Simone's strategic mind and a company built on innovation instead of politics, she'd found her place. What time does Tasha arrive? Kairo asked. Her flight lands at 9. Ayana smiled, thinking of her sister. She's bringing her new boyfriend, the real one this time, not a cartel enforcer. I can't believe she's still teasing you about that. She's 23. She's contractually obligated to embarrass me. Ayana turned in his arms, looking up at him. But she's also grateful. She told me last week that you saved her life. That she wants to thank you in person. You saved her life. I just wrote some checks. You did more than that. Ayana touched his face, tracing the line of his jaw. You fought for her.
For me.
For everyone. You could have paid Ayana and avoided all this mess, but you chose to fight instead. Because some things are worth fighting for. He leaned down, kissing her slowly, sweetly. You taught me that. Back when we were kids, and you told me dreams were only impossible if you gave up on them. I was 14 and dramatic. You were brilliant and brave. Still are. He pulled back slightly. Which is why I have something for you. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small box. Ayana's heart stuttered. Kairo. Relax. He laughed, opening it to reveal not a ring but a key, sleek, black, modern. It's the key to the house. The Providence Mansion. I want you to move in. Officially. She'd been staying there on and off for the past month, but most of her things were still in her apartment. She told herself she was being practical, keeping her independence. Really, she'd been scared. Scared of wanting too much, too fast. Scared of losing it all again. I know it soon, Kairo continued. And I know you value your independence. But Ayana, I don't want to spend another day pretending this is temporary. I love you. I've loved you since I was 17, and I'm going to love you until I'm 90. So please,
Move in.
build a life with me. I love you too, she whispered, taking the key. I never stopped. Even when I tried to. Even when you were gone. Never again, he promised. I'm never leaving you again. She kissed him, pouring 15 years of longing and 1 month of certainty into it. When they finally broke apart, both breathless, she pressed the key to her heart. I'll need to turn my apartment into an office, she said. For freelance work. I can't give up my consulting completely. I wouldn't want you to. You're brilliant at what you do. The industry needs you. And I'll need space for Tasha when she visits. She's talking about grad school in Seattle. There's 6 bedrooms. She can have her pick. And we should talk about the future. Where we see this going, what we both want. Ayana. He smiled, that soft smile that was only for her. We have time to figure it all out. But right now, we have a demonstration to run.
Right.
The demonstration. The one that would determine Mendes Aerodyne's future. No pressure. At 11:45 a.m., the viewing gallery was packed again, this time with even more observers. The DoD had sent twice as many representatives. 3 international space agencies had added personnel. And the media presence had tripled after news of the security incident had leaked. Everyone wanted to see if Kairo Mendes could deliver after a month of headlines about corporate sabotage and family betrayal. Ayana stood in the control room with Dr. Martinez, monitoring every system. This time, there were no hidden threats.
No sabotage.
No desperate mothers with thermite charges. Just science, engineering, and 15 years of dreams about to become reality. Simone appeared in the doorway with Tasha, who launched herself at Ayana in an enthusiastic hug. This is insane, Tasha said, her eyes wide as she took in the control panels and monitors. My sister is part of rocket science now. Actual rocket science. Cybersecurity for rocket science, Ayana corrected, but she was grinning. Close enough. Tasha spotted Kairo, and her expression turned serious.
Mr. Mendes.
I wanted to thank you for what you did, for protecting me. Call me Kairo, please. And you don't need to thank me. He smiled. Your sister would have done the same for anyone I cared about.
Still.
You didn't have to help. Tasha glanced between them, then grinned. Also, you two are adorable together. Just saying. Tasha.
What?
You are. It's like a movie. Childhood sweethearts reunited while fighting crime. She pulled out her phone. I'm documenting this for when you get married, and I need to make an embarrassing maid of honor speech. Who says I'd ask you to be maid of honor? Ayana teased. Please. I'm your only sister. It's literally my birthright. Before we get to the big moment, drop a comment and tell me, are you Team Tasha? Because honestly, little sisters who embarrass you are the best characters. Let me know if you have a sibling like this.
The countdown began.
T-minus 10 minutes. Kairo addressed the observers over the intercom, his voice calm and confident. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for returning for today's demonstration. What you're about to witness is the culmination of 8 years of research, development, and innovation. The Artemis propulsion system represents a fundamental leap forward in commercial space travel, more efficient, more powerful, and more sustainable than anything currently in operation. He paused, and Ayana saw him glance at her through the control room window. This company was built on the belief that dreams are worth fighting for. That setbacks don't define us. How we respond to them does. Today, we prove that belief. Today, we show you the future. T-minus 5 minutes. All systems green. Fuel optimal. Pressure chambers stable. Coolant flowing perfectly through the repaired system. Ayana's sandbox protocols showed 0 intrusions. 0 anomalies. 0 threats. For the first time in weeks, she felt herself relax. This is going to work, she said to Dr. Martinez. Of course it is. Dr. Martinez grinned. We're that good. T-minus 1 minute. Simone squeezed Ayana's shoulder. Whatever happens, we did this together. All of us. Together, Ayana agreed. T-minus 30 seconds. Cairo's eyes met hers through the glass. She saw everything in that look: love, gratitude, hope, fear, determination. She smiled at him. You've got this. T-minus 10 seconds. The control room held its collective breath.
5, 4,
3.
2, 1.
Ignition. The Artemis engine roared to life with a sound like controlled thunder. Thrust built smoothly, power readings climbing exactly as projected. The test chamber filled with the brilliant blue-white glow of plasma exhaust, beautiful and terrifying. 30 seconds in, the point where the previous test had failed, the engine continued flawlessly. 1 minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes. The thrust levels exceeded projections by 3%. Fuel efficiency was running at 97.3% optimal. Every metric was not just good, but exceptional. In the viewing gallery, observers were on their feet, watching in awe. At the 10-minute mark, the full duration of the test, Dr. Martinez initiated shutdown protocols. The engine powered down smoothly, perfectly, exactly as designed. Complete success. The control room erupted in cheers. Dr. Martinez was crying and laughing simultaneously. Engineers were hugging, high-fiving, celebrating years of work finally vindicated. Simone grabbed Ayana in a fierce hug. We did it! Oh my God, we actually did it! But Ayana was watching Kairo, who stood alone by the observation window, staring at the engine like he couldn't quite believe it was real. She made her way to him, slipping her hand into his. You did it, she said softly. You touched the stars, just like you said you would. He turned to her, and she was startled to see tears tracking down his face. We did it. All of us. Together. Then he was kissing her, in front of everyone, not caring who saw or what they thought. Kissing her like she was oxygen, and he'd been drowning. When they finally broke apart, the control room was applauding, not for the successful test, but for them. Get a room, Tasha called out, laughing. We have 6 of them, Kairo shot back, not taking his eyes off Ayana. In a mansion, where your sister is moving in.
What?
Tasha squealed. Ayana, you didn't tell me. It literally just happened this morning. But Tasha was already planning. Okay, so I'm calling dibs on the room with the best view for when I visit. Also, we're going wedding dress shopping next month. I don't make the rules. No one's getting married. Ayana protested, her face burning. Yet, Kairo said quietly, just for her. But Tasha's not wrong about the eventually part. Ayana's heart did a complicated flip. Kairo Mendes, are you proposing to me in a control room surrounded by engineers? Not proposing. Just stating my intentions. He smiled. When I do propose, it'll be somewhere meaningful. Somewhere that matters to both of us. Like a porch in Oakwood? Like a porch in Oakwood, he agreed. Where it all started. General Chen entered the control room, extending her hand to Kairo. Mr. Mendes, congratulations. That was the most impressive propulsion demonstration I've seen in 30 years of service. Thank you, General. The DoD is prepared to move forward with a full contract. $40 billion over 10 years, with provisions for additional projects as they develop. She smiled. You've earned it. Kairo shook her hand, professional and grateful. But as soon as she left, he turned back to Ayana. None of this means anything without you, he said. The contract, the company, the success, it's all just achievement without purpose if you're not here to share it. I'm here, she promised. I'm not going anywhere. Good. Because I have plans for us. Oh? What kind of plans? The kind that involve building a life together. Waking up next to you every morning. Maybe getting a dog. Definitely keeping Tasha in grad school even though she'll probably use it to embarrass us. That's a given. And eventually when we're ready, maybe a family of our own. Kids who grow up knowing they're loved. Who never have to wonder if they're worth fighting for. Ayana's eyes filled with tears. Kairo. Too much. He looked suddenly uncertain. I'm sorry, I know it's soon. It's perfect. She pulled him down for another kiss, softer this time, full of promise. You're perfect. This is perfect. All of it. 6 months later. The house in Oakwood had been abandoned for years, the porch where two teenagers had once shared pizza and dreams now weathered and sagging. But Kairo had bought it, had it restored board by board, exactly as it had been 15 years ago. And on a warm spring evening, he brought Ayana back to where it all began. "This is crazy," she said, looking at the familiar porch, the streetlight where he'd kissed her for the first time. "You bought our childhood street? Just the one house. For now." He led her up the steps, and she saw he'd recreated everything. The same worn welcome mat, the same porch swing, even a box of pizza waiting on the railing. "Kairo, what is this?" "This is me keeping a promise." He took both her hands, looking at her with those warm brown eyes that had haunted her dreams for 15 years. "I told you I'd go to the stars and take you with me. And I did. We built Artemis together. We're launching the first commercial flight next year, and your name is on that rocket as much as mine." "We did do that," she agreed, her voice shaking. "But there's one more promise I need to keep." He dropped to one knee, and Ayana's breath stopped. "Ayana Brooks, I loved you when we were kids sharing dreams on this porch. I loved you when I was a scared boy in witness protection who couldn't contact you. I loved you every day for 15 years when I thought I'd lost you forever. And I love you now, as a man who knows exactly how rare and precious real love is." He pulled out a ring, a simple, elegant band with a diamond that caught the streetlight exactly as it had all those years ago. "Marry me. Build a future with me. Let me spend the rest of my life proving that you're the best decision I ever made." "Yes." The word came out choked with happy tears. "Yes, absolutely yes." He slid the ring onto her finger, then stood and kissed her under the same streetlight where they'd had their first kiss. Everything had come full circle. The scared boy who disappeared had become a man who changed the world. The girl left behind had become a woman who saved him. And together, they'd built something neither could have imagined alone. "I have a confession," Kairo said as they sat on the porch swing, her head on his shoulder, his arm around her waist. "What's that?" "I'm buying the whole street, turning it into a foundation for kids in witness protection. Safe housing, education support, mentorship programs. So they don't have to disappear the way I did. So they know someone's fighting for them." Ayana pulled back to look at him, seeing the earnest hope in his face. "That's beautiful. You inspired it. You taught me that fighting for people matters more than protecting yourself." He kissed her forehead. "So that's what we're going to do. Fight for kids who need advocates. Build something that lasts." "We," she repeated, loving the sound of it. "I like that. Good. Because you're stuck with me now. Engaged and everything. Stuck with a billionaire aerospace CEO. However will I cope?"
She grinned.
"Tasha's going to lose her mind. She's going to plan a wedding so extravagant it'll make royal ceremonies look understated. Probably." Ayana snuggled closer. "But I wouldn't have it any other way." They sat in comfortable silence, watching the sun set over Oakwood Street, over the neighborhood where their story began. "Thank you," Kairo said quietly. "For what?" "For never giving up on me. Even when I was gone. Even when it hurt. Thank you for coming back." She laced her fingers through his. "For fighting to find me. For building a life big enough for both our dreams. Always," he promised. "For the rest of our lives. Always." And under the same stars they'd once wished on as teenagers, Ayana Brooks and Kairo Mendes began planning their future. A future built on love, trust, and the unshakable belief that some promises are worth waiting 15 years to keep. Some dreams are worth fighting for. And some loves, the real ones, the ones that survive abandonment and distance and time, those loves are worth everything.
The end.
Thank you so much for reading this journey with me. If you made it all the way to the end,
You're the real MVP.
drop a comment below and tell me, what was your favorite moment? The reunion? The demonstration? The proposal? I love hearing what resonated with you. And if you haven't subscribed yet, hit that button because there are so many more stories like this coming your way. Stories about love that fights back, characters who refuse to give up, and endings that make you believe in second chances. Until next time, keep dreaming big and loving bigger. I'll see you in the next one.